I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. About to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunter talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk. Steppin' is the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk.
All right, y'all. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J is live. We are in the building, ready to have a dope show. We already getting it in, y'all. I don't know. We start the live feed a little early, and you can't hear us, but you can certainly see us getting it. We got a lot to get into tonight. John and Steph are here. You are here. We ready to get it. The flagship show of Legacy and Their Radio is called Ain't No Half Stepping with Marcus J. It's live right now.
Yeah. It's about that time. It's about that time to get. Yeah.
Button your lip. Open your ears. Strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
Ain't no half step on Marcus J is live from the new den of Legacy Internet Radio. Be down with us tonight at 804-402-2893. Be a part of the flagship show, heard live from new den of Legacy Internet Radio. Thank you everybody that's rocking with us tonight. We appreciate those folks already checking us out right now in our social media, Legacy Internet Radio page, our personal pages. Ain't no half step Marcus J page on Facebook Live, that is. Checking us out on our YouTube page as well as our archives. Y'all rock with us every week. We appreciate y'all. Shout out to our brother Bobby. Bobby is checking us out right now, keeping it 100. What's up, my brothers? He says, we got a lot of love for you too, brother. Appreciate you rocking. Go around the room and get us introduced. We got a lot to get to, by the way. I'll just kind of tease it a little bit. A couple of the topics: has hip hop gotten better or worse over time? Black Republican for president? Question mark at the end of that. And what's a wife or a husband supposed to be doing? Are there specific duties, or is it something completely different? Those are the things that we'll be tackling tonight. So we appreciate you guys rocking with us. And Sam is in the house finally. Peace to you, Sam. Good look on hanging out with us tonight. We appreciate you. Go around the room, introduce the usual suspects. Up first, my brother, my partner, my homie. What up, John?
What's up, my brother? What's up, Pass? How you feel?
How you doing, brother?
I'm good. I'm good.
Oh, I'm finally in on one.
Yeah, you
I'm getting the humor
you
there.
get it
Yeah,
now, right?
yeah.
Okay, all right. Steph B, what's up with you?
You know, I'm good. Always forward.
Yeah.
I'm I'm hoping that I'm sure you guys will help me pick the energy up. I was recording the Hustlers Hive this morning.
Yeah. You know what? Hustlers Hive. I know what it is. Tell them what the Hustlers Hive is and how they can rock with it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Should have been doing this.
Hustlers Hive is my primary hustle. I am a business and sales strategist. I work with micro and small business owners, help them make more money, do things the right way. But Hustlers Hive Radio is where you can come together and kind of get the collision of business and culture. Today we talked a little bit about Kanye and his PPP, and that'll be on, and it comes on Wednesdays at 2:30 on Choice 105.3 or streaming on 105.3.org. But yeah, we chop it up a little bit about business culture, Black culture, entrepreneurship. What we should be looking out for in these streets here as entrepreneurs, and we'll be having some guests today. We had Michelle Wilson on. We talked about, are you a Black owned business, or are you a business that happens to be run by a Black person? And we kind of got into the conversation of assigning those terminologies to our business and what it does for us. So yeah, we have good conversation over there.
Yeah.
I'm looking for some people that want exposure for their businesses too. Like, if they think they have an interesting story and they're doing something that kind of creates a nice conversation and inspires other people, you can always reach out, connect@hustlershive.com.
We need to make sure that we do that every week. So every week. If I forget, you don't forget. But every week we need to make sure that we have a word from the Hustlers Hive. So
thank you.
Absolutely.
I appreciate the support. You guys are always
man,
supportive.
you all sister, man. You kidding me? Ain't no hashtag Marcus J, live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. How was y'all's weekend? John, how was your weekend, bro? You had a good weekend?
I had a good weekend. I had a nice weekend. So we was doing our thing last weekend, and then after that, my son came to visit. So my son came to visit here in Richmond.
Bigger John.
That's Bigger
his
John.
name.
Did you get a chance to meet?
I
Bigger
did.
John?
He was ginormous.
You did.
Yes, I'm a fluffy girl, so I kind of felt like a size 2 in that moment. I was, the 16 went to a 2, and I felt small and protected. He's gigantic.
Yeah.
Anytime somebody walks in a room with John and you look past John and go, that dude's big.
Yeah.
The dude is big.
Yeah. That's your project.
He could eclipse me easy. Like,
That's
I
your
could stand
progeny.
behind him and not be seen.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
and a nice guy. He's a nice big guy, gentle giant.
Yes,
he came to visit. I spent the week with him, and then the weekend was a come down off of that because it was a continuation. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had the weekend. I flew in here, got off the plane, ran in, did the show.
the plane.
Off the plane.
Straight
off the plane.
7:00 in the morning.
All those layovers made him punchy.
Yeah.
Right? My son is here 7:00 in the morning on Tuesday, and he didn't head back home till like midnight on Friday. So Saturday and Sunday was kind of a wind down for me.
Yeah. Off of about an 8 or 9 day stretch.
Bless you.
Yeah.
Bless you.
Yeah. So that was my weekend.
Yeah.
But it was good.
Yeah. Steph, you do anything cool?
Yeah, I played it low key. I will say I had, you know what I love to do?
What's
I
that?
love to and I guess a long time ago I would have never said this, but so Saturday I mostly work to put together some things. I have some new client projects and things, so you got to get some admin work in sometimes. So I did that. But Sunday I did the girl stuff, mani petty, and then I treated myself to a little bit of, a lot of bit of sangria and some good food at a bar tucked away by myself. And I didn't appreciate it when I was younger. I would have felt some kind of way about having to eat alone. But I mean, I was good. I was okay. I mean, I missed my girlfriends. That was, one of them was supposed to come, but when you're an adult and you got kids, you got to do the school shopping. So I had to respect that, that part of her hustle. And I was sitting in there, but let me tell you, I am not ready for the world. I am not RFTW at all. I I was sitting at the bar. I was the only one there, and I was chilling. And everything's happy hours. So my favorite, if you ever want to drink this is called a Steph B. It's Di Serono and pineapple. Tastes like cake. So it's for the cute fluffy girls and the guys who want a
I
little
got
touch.
that downstairs.
It's my favorite.
Thank you for letting me know. I'll hook you up.
Di Serono pineapple.
You got it
all day. And so I had a sangria, and then I was like, let me mix it up here. I had a little Di Serono. I'm chilling. I'm eating, and then I look up and I realize there are 2 seats to my left and 1 seat to my right that are still empty. And I'm like, this is good. This is good, because I'm still in the mode of I'd wear a mask indoors if no problem. I went to the mall, had a mask on. So I felt someone touch me. See, that's the first problem. I felt it, which means there is no more social distance happening.
Too close.
No distancing.
Move.
Yes, I felt, homegirl went to sit down. She was with a man. That's cool. And I felt her hind parts kind of rub my arm because she had to hop up in her hind. And then we're too close. And I'm chilling. I'm like, you know what? That's okay. I'm going to inch my chair.
Get a little closer
to the right, where there's an empty chair between me and a guy. And because there's only one chair, I feel pretty secure because most people there are in couples. I'm the only single person. What do you know? Ken and Karen decide that Karen needs to sit down next to me, and he'll just stand behind us both with his arms on both our chairs and breathe on me. And that's when the stinger from the bee came out. There was no more honey. I was done. I was done. I was like,
did you sting him?
Yeah. First I was like, I'm sorry. They asked me to move my stuff, and I was like, oh, are you taking the chair? Because literally to squeeze in there, we would have been knee to knee. And I am like, Delta's here. Okay, maybe the original guy left, but he brought his brother and who knows who, cousins and everything else. Let's just not deal with Delta. Nope. She squeezes in. Her man puts his arm, and I just said, hey, if you don't mind, could you just stand behind your wife's chair? And he goes, we're all just friends here. I'm just watching the game. No, we're not friends.
I don't know.
No, we're not. I was like, no, we're not. I said, you know what? Because this is my rule. If I have a bow on, I don't act up. I can't do it.
Hold on.
So
we gotta
bow,
talk about this. Yeah.
So the bow is
everybody else?
Is your Clark Kent glasses?
Yeah, kind of like, it's like if you had a wonder twin, but only one twin is there.
I got a better
I'm
one.
Deactivating. I don't want to.
I got a better one.
What's that?
You remember Bruce Lee in The Big Boss, also known as Fist of Fury?
Right. Also known as the Chinese Connection.
Chinese Connection is Fist of Fury.
Fist of Fury, yeah.
Big Boss is the one I'm talking about, where he had the necklace on.
I already know what you're going to say.
Yeah, man, he had the necklace on. Yeah, he had the necklace on.
Yeah,
and then
once it broke,
don't touch my
the chain.
Don't
break it. As the chain came off, the beast was released.
Yeah, don't so pop my bow.
They had got out of the street fight.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
They jumped over a couple guys. They were good,
and Bruce was good. They didn't touch him yet.
Right.
But then
that thing broke, and he broke food.
That's me in the bow. Yeah, I don't. My thing is, it's too easy to spot me when I have it on, and it's too easy to remember if I acting up. So for a long time, I did a lot of business in here in a non-black community, and I don't want to walk into a meeting after I gave somebody the bird while I'm driving down the street wearing a bow, and I see, and they're like, you can't forget a girl wearing a bow.
Forget her.
I mean, you can forget a 12-year-old wearing a bow. You can't forget a grown woman in heels and a bow.
Nope.
So I almost, your best bet is mess with me when I'm wearing my bow, because I can't pop off. I can't be Brooklyn Betty. But when I know I want to get it in, bows off.
You ain't wearing a bow.
Yeah, I don't need the brand when I'm going out there acting up.
Yeah. So
you don't need to see the bow popping up everywhere.
Did you see our sister just now? We see you.
Yeah.
I need to take you back to the old neighborhood. I got some people that I need you to beat up for.
What's good?
Yeah.
If my brother Cliff is listening, he will tell you, since he was the rabble rouser, I was the finisher. You couldn't fight him if you weren't fighting me. That's very Brooklyn of us.
So my brother Sam, first of all, Sam, my man, I appreciate you, brother. He said the fake COVID cough works for me. Then apologize and say I'm going out with a bang.
You know what? I'm stealing that.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I just gave the seat up because
you ain't want to smoke.
He didn't want it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think this is a terrible thing about exposure. I think that you subconsciously know you'll see these Karen Kin moments and you be like, please let it happen to me. You have those moments, and then you're like, you know what? Don't let it happen.
We call that a wish a month. Yeah, that's what we call that.
So I thought it was my moment, and then I was like, it's not even worth. He was a waste of mine. I put it in the arsenal. I put my 38 away.
So Michelle is LOLing at you.
Right because
she LOLing at you.
She was
right
like Pitbull in a bow.
Yeah.
So last weekend, like every airline in the country was like
ridiculous.
Crazy, right?
Yeah. Shout out to my cousin Brenda. Spirit didn't put her down.
Right. So
got her safely back to AC.
They had a group on American, and they had a whole a week planned at a resort in Jamaica. It's like 50 of them, and their flight got canceled, and they had no place to move these people. They were talking about, this is Saturday morning. They were talking about, okay, we might have something for you Monday. Mind you, they got a week at a resort.
Could you imagine somebody telling you might?
As these people, as these beautiful, intelligent Black people, couples, I mean, Black love all over the place. As they standing there quietly in this line for 2 hours, waiting to hear more bad news, and they were so calm, like,
how?
Oh,
show me your ways.
So lucky that was not my trip. My week in the resort that I paid for, that I gave my homegirl some money for, that she hooked up on the hookup. And I don't do group travel. Really, I don't. But if I had done it and paid that money, and this is like, the plane was supposed to take off like 3 hours ago. I would have been landing right now.
Yeah.
And you talk about listen, y'all better open the checkbook, call whatever airline is going, give me a first class ticket.
Yeah,
on that,
I need to go.
And I might not kill everybody in the room.
But I would might.
Maybe not.
It's still a maybe.
Yeah.
But I was watching CNBC, and they were warning. They were saying this is the perfect time to look at domestic travel, because they're expecting more and more of this. And they're like, if you could find opportunities to enjoy yourself domestically, this may be the time. The problem with that is domestic travel costs are way up because they know this.
Yeah, they know.
So
speaking of domestic travel, can we have fun with a case that I saw recently?
Yes. Yeah.
Domestic travel. All right. I've been fortunate enough to fly a little bit in the last few months, and I ain't seen nothing. Well, actually, I did see something crazy. I'm gonna tell you 2 stories real quick, right? Dude sitting next to me on the way back to Richmond. He's like, those people over there, their mask is just below their nose. He's talking to the flight attendant. And he is aggressive. He's aggressive about it. He's like, you gonna tell him? Is it your job to tell him? And I'm sitting in the middle, and I normally get a window. and he's got the window. So I'm already gritting on him, like, man. And
You
he
want to
just-
switch seats,
Yeah,
sir?
man. Because I just switched with the brother who wanted to sit with his lady.
Okay.
And so I was flying along. It's like, that's an obvious no-brainer. But then I
Yeah.
get stuck with Mr. Mask Police. His mask is a little below the nose. So they had just done their thing where they do the announcement, and he's going to do another one. So we get in the air. He's watching CNN next to me, and I can see his screen, and I can see they're putting the statistics and stuff up,
Oh.
and he's audibly gasping next to me. Just look at this dude like
COVID.
Now that's not that cool of a story, but the next one is cool. Did
But
you
you
hear
know
about
what?
the
That's
airline?
funny because it's not because he was
Oh,
experiencing
he
anxiety,
was all in
but
his
he's making it
feelings.
worse, worrying about everybody.
Oh,
Just-
he
yeah.
was all his
I
feelings.
would have got my soda and pulled my mask down and coughed all over his.
See,
I'd have
of
choked.
No,
course you
see,
would. See,
why,
see,
John?
One thing about me that y'all know, if you've ever
John
hung
is the
out with me,
antagonizer.
you ought to know that I'm
I
gonna
ain't
be
no
the dude.
antagonizer.
I'm
I'm
gonna
like,
fly
yo,
under the radar.
I'd have been so
until-
apologetic. Oh, I'm so sorry as I touched him.
See,
That's
see,
what
see,
Karens
see,
do.
you and my man Sam coughing with the fake COVID cough. You know what I mean? Like that's how y'all do.
But at least
Me-
Sam is doing it to
'Cause
create
no,
space.
no, but
Sam's doing it to create
But,
space.
here goes the
Yes.
deal, though. Here goes the deal, right?
Move.
You over here, you freaking moron. We're on the plane.
You know how
We're
many
on the
words he had to
plane.
go through
Yeah,
just to get to
to get
that? Just to get to that, he went through a lot,
With the
y'all.
lip bite
yeah,
and the
with
teeth
bite,
grit.
Yeah, good
Yo.
job, John. Good job.
Thank you.
Proud of you.
My man.
So we're on a plane, and in about 20 minutes, they're gonna come around with them dry ass pretzels, sodas, and everybody
And a little ass cup of water this
and
big.
everybody is going to take their mask down.
Yeah.
Why are you talking about some dude over there? You next to me, ninja. You about to catch it.
Oh my God.
Hey,
You
look,
are about to catch
I think you
it.
just found your kindred spirit because Sam said he with you, man.
Oh, Sam, I was
Sam
giving
with
you
man.
oh,
Sam is
Sam,
with
I'm
you.
off.
Sam
I'm
is with
off
you.
on
All right,
this
so
one.
here's the other one I saw, right? This was one that I went on this flight. Is on I can't remember the airline, and it doesn't matter. I'm not gonna call them out, but you may have heard the story, and you can Google the situation. Promise you, the story's gonna come up. The duct tape story. Y'all heard about the duct tape story?
I saw
Forget
the
about the story.
video.
Did you see the guy?
I saw the guy. I saw the guy. So let's set it up.
He's
Let-
amazing.
let's-
He's my hero.
Let's set it up first. Let's set it up for them. All right.
Look,
So
you two are loving this.
oh yeah. All
Go
right.
ahead,
So
go ahead.
when they first
She had
told the
no
story,
idea.
when they first told the story was told that a couple of flight attendants for this airline had been suspended for duct taping a passenger. Now, when you hear that, at least when I hear that, I'm immediately, or should I say immediately, on the side of the damn flight attendant. There is nothing that you could tell me that would make me want to root for the guy that got duct taped. Because you don't just get duct taped at 30,000 feet above the ground. You did some dumb
You
shit.
did
I
something.
gotta give you one caveat before you continue your story. When you
I
get
don't
on the
want it,
plane,
though.
no, you need this one. You know when you get on the plane, when they're greeting you, they're sizing you up, the airline attendants, and they're looking for who they think would help them tie somebody up with duct
Oh,
tape.
well, yeah.
I'm always that dude.
Post
I
9/11.
greet them so good, like, hey, y'all, what's up?
Yeah, so
Got
what you
you?
greet them?
I greet them so
you
they
don't-
know
you-
I'm with it. I'm with all of it.
So it's really
all the shit.
it's
What
about
did
how
y'all
they
greet
do
you.
before I
I'm
got
with
here today?
Drink.
all the
Just
listen,
drink.
because you know
Just
what
drink.
it is? They get
got
they
Just
get
drink.
no. Let me tell you. You
But
get,
he
you-
don't drink.
You get that. You
That's
get
true,
that
he
exit
doesn't.
row seat. You get that exit row seat, and if it's something available, they remember you. I got you.
You really
I got-
think that's what it is?
Yeah, I know it.
So you don't think it has
I
something
know
to do
enough-
with you being
I
6'4"?
I know enough flight attendants.
Yeah,
Well,
They
6'4".
they-
I think that's why they
I
would
think
look
that's
at
part
him.
of it.
But no, but the greeting, I'm telling you, any flight attendant will tell you that greeting, that ain't really a greeting. They seeing who they're
Hey,
gonna
look.
have a problem with and who gonna help them with a problem.
I greet everybody the same way, from the janitor to the president of the United
Yeah.
States. You know how I greet them? Peace.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, but I go
Everybody.
in there letting them know.
But when I get
I
on the
got
plane,
you.
I look. I mean, because I travel like I might meet the man of my dreams in the seat next to me. So I do. I'm like, listen, folder flats in the bag. but heels until we get to the plane. And then when I get on, I want the flight attendants to see I'm taking this seriously. This is real business
Y'all
for
a
me.
lot,
Oh,
man.
and trust,
Both
they
of
know
y'all.
that
And
too.
Both of y'all,
I'm
yo.
always
Listen,
just like,
they know that
"Hi,
too. When
ladies,
they
hi, gentlemen."
So let me
when they
get this
start
straight.
moving
Hold
those
on, hold on.
seats,
Before you
they
go
know
on.
that too. You know
Let me
that.
get
I'm
this straight.
extra.
They're like, yo,
You-
get her. I saw somebody.
You the unofficial marshal, and you the pretty girl.
Yeah, that's all
and
I'm
they
doing.
and they going for the hookup.
I'm just
Let
letting
a
them
dude, let
know.
a dude come in there by himself with a gym bag, looking like
Hey,
he
look.
just woke up. They're gonna be like,
And
yo,
I'm the
get her
dude
over
with the
there.
gummy.
Oh, and I did drink before I got on here.
Yeah, man.
Because,
Hey, look.
Go back to the story,
I'm
please.
the dude getting on an 8 a.m. flight lit.
Oh, yeah.
That
Red Eye from Vegas.
Yeah, man.
It's
So anyway, here's the second part of the story, right? So I didn't know this part of the story when the story broke. The only part of the story I knew was that the flight attendants had gotten suspended for
For
duct
duct
taping
taping.
a passenger. But then when the story begins to unfurl, then you find out what the hell he did to cause it. Apparently, he got lit
Yes.
and he's groping people.
The flight attendant.
Flight attendants on the flight. So when they finally got him and then they showed the video, he out there cussing and stuff.
Then they taped his
And they
mouth.
taped his mouth, his body. They legit taped this dude 30,000 feet in the air. That
Yeah.
story is everything to me.
Yes, and he
You
was.
got to see
he
the
was
flight attendant
screaming.
himself tell a
Oh
story.
my
He
God.
was
He was like,
screaming,
yo.
saying, "My parents are worth $2 million." I mean, he was clearly drunk
The
and
dude was
belligerent.
like, the flight attendant guy was like, yo, it was good. He went crazy. Then he started touching one of my partner co-workers' breasts, and I knew it was a problem when he started touching my breast.
Yeah, he did
And
say
I
that.
don't go for that.
He did say that.
I got the duct tape.
Yeah, man. Hey, look.
And the funny thing is,
Yeah.
how drunk are you that it's so easy for someone to duct tape you? Because it didn't take a lot of people holding him
Oh
down.
no.
That flight
listen,
attendant came along
You
and was
gotta
like,
be,
bam.
you gotta be some MMA close quarter combat to stop them from taping you in that tiny ass seat.
I guess that's
Because all
smart,
they
yeah.
gotta do is lean on you with a hand in your chest while the other one start rapping. You done.
All you can do is flail your arms.
You can't do nothing. You can't
So,
stand up. You stand up. You
Now,
hit your head.
I will say this: there were plenty of people on Twitter, and you get internet pundits or the internet, and a lot of people were like, "Have they gone too far in what flight attendants are allowed or enabled or think they should be able to do?"
I mean, in Virginia, you can walk around with a gun in case somebody mess with you. And the flight in the air, you can't have no gun.
Right.
You can't have no knife. You can't have no other weapon. But you know what you can have? Some duct tape.
Yeah,
if somebody
they did
acts
not
a damn
kill him.
fool, they can be restrained until someone can come along and take over. And I say that in jest, but all jokes aside, it's like, yo,
Post
if you
9/11,
if you
should be
if you
acting
up there, like, because I've been in the flight where it's a little more chirpy than I like. Like, I'm not a nervous flyer. I'm a calm person by nature. I just am. I'm not in a rush for a lot of stuff externally. Internally, I'm like, hurry the fuck up. But externally, I'm not
Such
that
a
guy.
Gemini.
Yeah, man. You're just not gonna see it. But at the same time, I know when it's go time. And it's go time when you up in the air and somebody up there acting a damn fool. It's like, yo, we all up here nervous.
For everybody.
We all up here nervous. All of us trying to get to where we going. But none of us want to go this way. Don't nobody like flying. It's already inherently nerve-wracking and creates anxiety.
Even for the people who say I fly all the time.
You up there acting a fool to the point where they gotta duct tape you. You lucky they didn't beat the brakes off you right there in the
everybody
sky.
in sound of my voice.
Exactly.
If you get on a plane,
mad.
if you get on a plane with me, don't try it.
All right, so listen, we got some salutations. It's a couple of them. You know how we do. Our regulars, we gotta give them love. So first up, we greet her the same way every single week. So as we look into this camera, we're gonna say it. Good morning, Sue. Yeah. So and also rejoining us, we haven't heard from our sister in a while, but she is back with a vengeance from Baltimore. Sister Edie is checking us out.
What up, Edie?
And
You've been missed.
Yeah, she absolutely been
she
missed.
only hopped in for a minute last week.
Hopefully
so
she's hanging out with us tonight. So let me get these comments. Sue, of course, she says good morning. She says, I mean, duct tape has many uses.
yes,
You
yes.
heard?
Let's get it.
Trust me.
Edie says these flights are getting out of hand. People really be acting the fool.
Yeah.
Look, he was
do.
on Spirit, right?
I think that was yeah.
And you know why they got that duct tape?
Spirit gets a lot of that though.
For the wings.
You know what?
I'm not dealing
I'm
with
telling
it.
you something.
Yeah,
I don't fly Spirit, but that's up to
listen,
y'all.
I have
Listen.
flown in each of the last 3 months.
Arbitrarily having
Round-
enough.
Spirit?
Listen,
No, not Spirit, but I'm
arbitrarily
just
having
saying.
enough duct tape to wrap a man around in the seat on a plane. You ain't had to tell me it was Spirit. It was either them or Frontier.
Oh yeah, he's tripping. He going, it took me a minute to see that was shade. I
was waiting
I
on
have
it.
flown in June, July, and August.
Mhm.
No, Southwest.
Each of the last 3 months, and each
That wasn't too
time
bad.
I seen something worthy of a story, but I ain't seen no duct tape stories.
Yeah.
Not
You know,
not like this.
I think too, it was just if you see the video of him going off, it just was nonstop.
There was a person
that
in the seat
serious,
next
bro.
to him, right?
Nonstop.
Not that serious.
So
It was-
when it's
and he punched the passenger. He did punch a passenger. A passenger tried to say something. He punched the passenger. So it did escalate.
Listen, let me get the number two piece in a biscuit. He'd have been over.
Yeah. You know, and it's funny too because I remember in the ashes of 9/11, we started hearing about the marshals, knowing that they're up there. You know, I don't know of what
Spirit
percentage.
can't afford that.
Well, again, I don't know about the specific airlines. I'm not speaking to the specific airlines. More so, air travel in general.
Yeah.
We know that they're up there, but at the end of the day, you walking around the streets waiting on a cop to get you out some shit. I mean, I ain't built that way. I'm not waiting on a cop. So on the airline, it's kind of the same thing. So when I saw this story, my initial thought was, what the hell is wrong with the management people at this airline? You really mad? Like, you really think that these people going to just say, you know what, you being a little chirpy, so let's just tie you up with duct tape?
They
Like,
tried.
you don't think that these people would have had a reason beyond somebody
something
just being a
significant.
little bit chirpy? Like, this dude is Donald Trump
Chirpy.
grabbing him by the pee. You know what I'm saying?
He was a danger
true.
to himself
R.
as
Kelly
well as
feeling
others.
on the booty.
Oh,
Somebody
Listen.
give me one more.
Listen,
I'm gonna be
I
here till
can't follow
9:30.
that
y'all.
one up
I'm gonna be here all
tonight.
night. Yeah,
yeah.
Ain't
tip
no
your
half
waitresses. Tip your waitresses.
Ain't no half yeah, right. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy Internet Radio. All right, so I'm gonna change the speeds a little bit as we move 30 past the hour here. We're gonna talk briefly about one thing that's going to lead us into another thing. There was a lot of talk last Tuesday about the verses between the Locks and the Dipset. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, I was at a meeting. I was at a meeting and I wasn't able to watch it live, but I was able to watch my Facebook feed, and the Facebook feed basically told the story from one perspective. I did watch some of it in the preceding days prior to the show, and I tend to agree with what the prevailing opinion was, but this will lead us to a bigger discussion. So I'm going to lead that off here in just a minute. And actually, I got a comment. Let me get a comment here. Edie says, shit, I'm making a PSA. When I fly, I will fuck anybody up in this plane. If y'all act a damn fool in the air, try me.
I believe it.
I believe you.
Hi, I'm Edie.
Absolutely
Try
believe
me.
you.
How you say Baltimore? Baltimore represent.
Yeah,
Baltimore.
I believe you. And you know what the best part about us believing her? I can see her standing up there and everybody going,
Yeah,
yes,
she's
ma'am.
like, I just want to make this quick
yes,
announcement.
ma'am. And yeah, I ain't even a little bit mad at that. Because for real, it just takes the one to set the tone. Ain't gonna be no bullshit, no foolishness
that's
in this
true.
air today.
And usually it's someone who is that brave to stand up, and it often is a sister.
Edie, next time you flying, let me know. I'm gonna fly with you just so I can see it. I can dig it. Ain't no how to step with Marcus J. John said, Dipset.
He did.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
No, not that John.
Oh, somebody else. What? No Dipset. Not on this conversation.
I'm gonna call him John Jr.
Oh, this little this
Lil
bigger
John.
John.
Should we say Lil John?
Can we
Lil
call
John,
him
Bigger
Bigger
John,
John?
Jr. What we gonna call him? Because we have to
I
give
don't
him
know.
an
He
identity.
gets frustrated at some point.
I'm gonna give him.
Does he?
We have to give
Okay.
him. We have to give him like everybody got their name on the show, regular. So
What's his nickname? What can we call him if we're part of the family?
I'm gonna call him John Jr. until
Okay.
I'm
You
told
call him
not
John
to.
Jr., yeah.
I'm gonna go with John Jr. Ain't no how to step Marcus J.
I know
live
he ain't
from New
rooting for
Den
Dipset though.
Legacy. And, oh yeah, because you know when he was here last week, I had an opportunity. First of all, it was good to meet you. All jokes aside,
Yes.
it was absolutely a pleasure meeting you. We love your daddy, which by virtue means we rocks with you. So
He drives me
we
crazy, but I
appreciate-
love him.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he a different dude. He a different dude. I'll tell you about it later.
Yeah.
You know,
He already know.
But we were talking about the Locks versus Dipset, and I didn't watch it, so I can't really speak to that. But I'm one who I know who Jadakiss is.
Yes.
That's all. You
Jason,
know who
Terrence
Jadakiss
Phillips, if you're listening.
is. And to me, just after having not even seen it or knowing it was coming, all you kind of had to do was tell me that
Jadakiss was
you
going to
had
be sober.
Jadakiss on one side. There's nobody on the other side that
I mean,
could touch him. Now, John has a different opinion.
of course he does.
Of course he
My
does.
contrarian
So
friends.
before we do that, Edie says Dipset done dipped out. Lock slaughtered them. Most people in the world agree with that sentiment, but John doesn't.
I'll go last. I want to hear this.
Let's get it, John. With this, and this will lead.
We
Okay.
could just have a conversation about it. Let's
Well,
go.
this will lead us as we filter through this. I'll introduce our bigger topic that is related to this.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
John,
I have been re-educated with regard to verses. See, I thought verses was I play a hit song, then you play a hit song, and whichever song was the bigger hit, I get a point for that. And it's 20 songs. That's what I thought verses was.
No.
So in that opinion of verses, I had Dipset all the way because they had the bigger hits.
They were more commercial.
Right. They had the more recognizable songs. Even I had a few people who were there in the audience and they told me every Dipset song that came on, the whole audience sung along. And there were a good portion of the Lock songs that people never heard before. They were either album cuts or freestyles or something.
I just want to say one thing. I was watching this with someone who's been in the music scene a long time and is from New York, knew every single song that the Locks, every single one. So I think hip hop heads really do know the Locks.
Yeah, but see, that's the point. You got hip hop heads, but that doesn't qualify the hit record because if you are a fan, you've played the whole album. You know the songs.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of Jay-Z songs that I know that people don't ever know because I played the whole album.
Yeah.
Right. So now,
Edie, but as you continue, Edie is co-signing, saying that Dipset has more hits. Absolutely.
right.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
now,
but I don't think that's.
But now that I've
been
educated of what verses is now, and Marcus made a very good point to me earlier, talking about it takes on the energy of itself in the moment, right? If anybody would have ever asked me who's going to give me a better show, Locks by far. Who's going to be more entertaining? Locks by far. Main reason being the Locks.
Truly, who has better bars?
The
Locks
is an actual group.
Right.
So let's go there.
Dipset is
four
almost
guys.
manufactured.
It's 4 guys.
Yeah.
They happen to be in the same crew, but they're not really a group. They
I
don't do
kinda said
shows
that
together.
too.
They don't. So
Yeah.
they were gonna win.
They've got their own
regardless.
independent
Right.
brand.
So again, I always just thought it was about record for record, hit for hit, because even if you say bars or whatever, I wouldn't call a lot. I would say Jada versus Dipset. Jada will, subject. Some people feel a different way, but some people say Jada's got the better bars. Some people might say Cam got. It's subjective.
I knew you were gonna say Cam. I don't.
But
think
it's
so, but
subjective. I'm not a fan of either, really, to be honest with you. But they're both, to
Terrence
me,
Phillips.
I got you. To me, both of them are capable rappers. They both share to me in the same level, and I think it matters which one you like more. But now that I understand what verses is in the spirit of what happened that evening, yeah, the Locks slaughtered.
Yeah,
them.
it's all about the performance factor, the delivery that night. I think it's.
But now we gotta
But
now we gotta redo because you gotta understand what if verses come out. It came out and we were home.
Yeah, but
everybody's in the house.
even then it wasn't.
But
even then it wasn't really point for point. It was more. It was hit for hit, but they weren't really assigned. The who won.
No, but
was
people
coming
at
from the
home,
people.
right? People at home was listening because like a lot of it started with the producers, right? So you had like Neo went against one guy, and like everybody knew when Neo put on to the left, it was going to be a rap for the other guy because you just can't go against that. But then guys they playing different artists. They both had Whitney Houston songs. They both had this.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So now you getting which song had more impact, which song got sold more. Was that, and it wasn't about, well, who's the better piano player, who's the better dancer. We just going hit for hit. But now it's more who's the better person in the opinion of the people on that night.
I think? You know what I think about the verses? I think the verses, and this is what I said to you when we were doing our pre-show before we went live. I think verses takes on the personality and energy of the participants. And here's what I mean by that. I'll stand by this. I said it at the time. I still feel this way. The best verses that I have ever seen was DMX and Snoop. And the reason for that is that one felt like two dudes giving each other flowers.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It didn't feel like a battle, even though it could have been, because both sides would have had an argument for hits, and that to me is not debatable. If you want to debate that, I'll concede whatever you want to say. But to me, if you're talking about Snoop and DMX, that's going to be a wash when it comes down to hits.
Mhm.
And then when it comes down to impact in hip hop. Who's the biggest star? Probably Snoop, because your grandma knows who Snoop is. Earl's just the dude that cusses when he prays. You know what I mean? So it's a little different. But when I watched that, especially when Snoop saw that Earl wasn't up to snuff for it, he saw it very early. So that became a love fest. And so for me, and that was my first sit down and watch beginning to end verses for me. And obviously had been a few before that, but that was my first one. Then when you add Meth and Red, which to me was probably the greatest nearly 3 hours of concert that I've ever seen in the last long time, because it's Redman. I mean, Redman.
I love that.
Redman could rap the dictionary, and I'm all in. And then you throw in Meth. It was dope. But they were, as we say in wrestling, putting each other over. That whole verses was about each of them selling the other dude.
Yes, they were each other's hype man.
They were each other's hype man.
You saw their friendship
and you can see the love in it. And that to me was verses, just like DMX and Snoop was. And then
I think give Jill and Erica their flowers initially.
And they did the same thing.
They were very much giving each other their flowers and loving on one another.
But then when you watched, surprisingly enough, Earth, Wind and Fire and the Isley Brothers, that felt more like a competition. Mostly because Steve wouldn't shut the hell up.
Steve was ridiculous.
But I think you have to feel the energy of what you're getting in the verses. And because I didn't watch this, almost finished this point. I didn't watch it, but I was able to watch social media real time. And social media real time suggested that this was a competition between the two, and the Locks overwhelmingly won.
Yeah, and yes. I watched it real time. I was enjoying it. I actually set up to watch it. I was like, all right, we're going to have some good food. We're going to, it's New York. They're representing. I think the nature of it changes. One, the nature of verses changes depending on whether it's R&B, hip hop, or whatever it's going to be. Once it's hip hop, just by the nature of hip hop, it's competitive. It becomes that thing. You add two sets that represent different parts of New York, and then you put them in front of a New York crowd. This is about who's better or who's not. This is immediately, and Styles have been hyping it up all week long, talking mad stuff on social media, and he and I did like what I did notice was like, I don't know that everyone could be mature enough that didn't turn into something, because there was some moments where it was like, I love Jadakiss, and true to his Gemini nature, he mad disrespectful. Like, he is super disrespectful, and he says some disrespectful stuff, and I love it.
But when you in a cipher, that's just the way it goes. Like, you don't get to be in a cipher and be sensitive. Like, that's not what it's for.
Right.
So if you're gonna show
Cam
up,
was sensitive.
if you're gonna show up for something like that, then you gotta just take it. Let me get a couple of comments in.
I'll tell you about Cam.
We get a couple of comments in. John Jr. says Gucci versus Jeezy was legendary. Gucci won, by the way. Edie says take Eve and Trina. Everyone counted Trina out, but Trina Bean brought that energy with the hits.
She did. Trina did bring it.
And she said that shit was the best by far. That's hip hop just gutter. So, there's some love there, John.
So with like you said, how Jade is a Gemini. I think Cam's Aquarius. He's indifferent. Like he's not sensitive. He's indifferent, but he's like he's like, you know what? At the end of the day, I could buy y'all, so I'm not really. I don't care. Like
but that's not how
he's
it
arrogant.
But you know
that's
what?
not
Though?
how it came across on stage.
And to me, he gave the most salty line of the whole evening when he said, "Y'all happen to be the best group of side chicks because basically all they got is features." So it's like y'all the best group of side chicks ever. I get that.
But
That
I
was,
mean,
to me,
put it
that
out
was
there,
under-
and Dipset wouldn't rate among the greats. I mean, they're not
no,
gonna
but
be
they got
commercial
albums.
hits.
Yeah, they got albums of
Commercial
their own and
hits.
together. Most of and that look, blame Puffy. Most of the problem with the Locks is Puffy's fault, but everything that they do that's really big besides Jada is features.
But let's move into the bigger topic, because this is a perfect segue when we talk about the hits versus the feel.
Right.
I'm a person who I'm a hip hop feeler. I think people my age, I was born in 1974, and I think people my age are the last of the original generation of hip hop. Meaning, I remember when the Breaks was on the radio. I remember when Planet Rock was on the radio, like in the first spin. I remember all of that. I remember when hip hop artists dressed like the Village People. You know what I mean? Like I remember that. So
that is a Bronx.
We don't need the
unique
disclaimer. We
situation.
know that, but
No.
Bada and them looked a damn fool.
That was the Bronx.
And so did Melly Mel.
That
and
was the
Flash
Bronx.
and all of them.
That was all the Bronx. The Bronx.
Okay, I mean I don't care about that. I don't care where they're from.
Shout out to my man Reggie Eastman.
The original version of hip hop. We old. So when we see that stuff, of course our antennas are going to perk up. As we get older, everything isn't as good as it used to be. It's just not.
I mean, you don't wake up and eat Pop-Tarts now, do you?
I
They were
gave
great
this
in high
analogy,
school.
John. I want you to debate me on this one, as we did earlier. And Steph, I want you to jump in here as well, because the point that I was making to go along with this is the older you get, the more what was hot when you was a kid becomes the standard for the rest of your life. That's why you still got people talking about how great Michael Jordan is, which he was. He was great, but so was Kobe, and so was LeBron. Now it's a different kind of great. It's a different great for the generation that you're in. And if I'm given the choice between the three of them, I'm taking Jordan. But I'm also somebody who remembers his first game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, different emotional
So
connections to it as
20 years from now, those Jordan fans are going to be less vocal and frankly less likely to be here 20 or 30 years ago, whereas LeBron James fans are going to be the age that we are now, the little kids.
Yes.
They ain't never heard of Oscar Robertson, which was the Michael Jordan name they threw at us when we was kids. They talked about how great Robertson was. He averaged a triple-double for a large part of his career. And Wilt Chamberlain. Who do we have to combat Wilt? We had Shaq. You see what I'm saying? So if I'm relaying that back to hip-hop, I understand us older guys, me, hi, I'm us older guys, looking at some of the hip-hop for today and saying, I can't do it. I can't do it. Like if I hear Public Enemy right now, depending on the song, I could fall right into it. Just give me a half a bar, just a half a bar, and I'm jumping right into it. Whereas Dipset, hey, look, I seen him, I heard of him. Locks came out a little bit ahead of them. I was more likely to fall in line with them, and that's where my mentality was when this verses came up. So here's the bigger question that's on the floor. John, I want you up first, and Steph will speak before I speak again. I want to know, is hip-hop better now? Is hip-hop the same as it was, just different? Talk to me about it, because the top 5 for me has been unchanged in 20 years. I ain't changed my top 5 in 20 years. And the last great rapper for me who was new We talking the Ludacris Eminem generation. That generation of hip hop was the last of the greats for me. I don't want to talk about Drake. He ain't annoying.
Well,
Yeah, old fogey hip hop fan here.
Okay, so
and Edie says, I know Wilt the still. So yeah, we all saw him, and he'd be great in every era, just like some hip hoppers would be great in every era. John, you made the point that Drake would be great in the current era.
one of my favorite words in life, one of the words that moves me in life is capable. Right? I don't really ever think about what a person will or won't do. What are they capable of? And that's how I approach things. So a lot, first of all, hip hop is saturated, right? Let's just say that straight up. It's saturated. But I told you before, I say if you call yourself a hip hop artist, a rapper, whatever, MC, whatever you want to call it, if you fall into that category of person and you can't go on a show like Flex and rhyme for about 10 minutes on some stuff that we never heard on a record, shoot yourself. Because I'm like, you're not. Right? There's certain things you got to do. You got to just be who you are and be able to do it. You got to be capable. You got to be capable of doing the thing. Too many people are using celebrity to justify being an artist. You're not an artist. You don't do this, and you just a celebrity because you look like a clown, and clowns are in now. So,
jeez,
what?
You just say silly shit sometimes. To
Why
just
is
make
that
it,
silly?
Not
Clowns
silly
are
in a
in
bad
now.
way.
No, that was
Wild,
funny, though.
crazy, funny.
That
Right
was
on
wild.
time.
Yeah, that was funny though.
Silly was probably
Clowns
the
are
bad
in
word
now.
to say.
Pull up the top 10 rap artists of the last
Yeah, silly was a
5
bad
years,
analogy.
and they all look
I
like
agree, I
Yeah.
they all look like circus clowns.
So silly does fit.
So
Yeah.
my point is,
Yeah.
has it gotten, the answer to the question, has it gotten better? No. Have there been hip hop artists who have achieved the level, or like Last Dragon, the glow? Have some of them got the glow? Yeah. But then you got to be glowing another color for me to say it's better. So there have been some who've come along in the last 20 years who've reached the level of excellence that I can mention you with other excellent people, where it then becomes just an opinion of what I like better, right?
Yeah.
What someone likes better. But when you start mentioning names of people who don't even have the skill set to be mentioned in that group, I think it's preposterous, and people do that, right? So if you got your ABCs, right? So A rapper, B rapper, C rapper, and then you have your echelon of higher ups who's just higher up. There's been a couple of rappers. J. Cole is on that fit, right? J. Cole has a level of ability as a person who does this that is beyond ordinary. He's extraordinary in what he does. I don't like most of his music, but I can listen to it objectively and go, that's good. Like what he did, his wordsmanship, his ability to deliver, the way he crafted the song. I'm getting the point. There's little subtleties. There's all these kind of good things in there. I get it. He's on that level. And Jay Electronica.
I
Like,
love
come
Jay
on. Jay
Electronica.
Electronica is like,
Way
he is
underrated.
on that level, you know?
He's musically sound.
Let me get a
Yeah.
couple of comments in, and then I want to hear from you, Steph. Edie says, I can't read the comment. Is pink pussy brief? That should answer your question. No, it's not.
Oh,
So
God.
no, I guess hip hop is
Ay,
not
yikes.
better. Hey man, I don't screen shit here, and I cuss far more now than I used to. So it is what it is. She continues, preach, John. It's the way John says that shit. So you got some fans here, John. And our brother Sam is agreeing. Yes, I am still with my man John. So and then John Jr. says, yes, I agree. Drake is not a natural rapper. Good song maker, not an MC. 100,000 million%
Yeah.
Agree with you, John. What you got, Steph? What's your
Yeah,
thoughts on this
I
topic?
mean, we don't need to beat a dead horse, but I think that's kind of true. There's, I look at not everybody's a musician. I mean, that's
Bingo.
just it. Not everybody's a musician. You go back to, I mean, Nas's new album came out this past weekend. I loved it.
Me
I loved
too.
it because it had musicality.
Yep.
I heard live horns.
Yep.
Shout out to his pops, who's a trumpeter.
Oludari.
Oludari,
Yeah.
trumpeter. You know, I heard samples of really good throwback music. I heard lyricism that was deep and intelligent. And I don't think you really have to do all of that now to get the current hip hop audience. And so I say that to make my next point. It's not meant for you. It's not packaged for you. It's not sold to you. You're not the primary consumer nor the primary buyer anymore. And when we were, there's a reason we love it. And it's funny because there are people who come out of the 70s and 80s loving hip hop that hated what the 90s did. And now you got the same thing. I think it's just a transition of time. I don't listen to the Migos think they're talking to me because I could have birthed them. You know what I mean? Like some of them are they're young. I have kids in their 20s. I don't expect to be the tastemaker of the moment.
Yeah.
Because I understand, just like the baby came to learn, it's all a business.
Yeah.
And they're putting music out there for people who are not necessarily or haven't over the commercial stuff over the last few years. This is not an audience that's looking for musicality.
Yeah.
You know, for those of us who play an instrument or things, you know what good musicality is. I agree. I love Drake, but I love Drake because it's like listening to, you know, it's the rap David Ruffin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not gonna catch me in my gut, and I don't necessarily go back 5 or 6 times like that Lauren verse on Nobody by Nas.
It was dope.
It was dope, and it was dope enough to go back and listen to 6 or 7 times, even though she was clear and enunciating each time.
Everything she
Because
said.
I was like, yo, that's repeatable.
Yeah.
A lot of what's coming on now, the hook is there, but there's nothing within it that's really repeatable. And this is going to be the wave of the future because the future is now. Because now you have TikTok where everybody's trying to make something that's going to allow someone 15 to 60 seconds of a clip that makes them go viral because they use that song.
Yep.
So don't expect the lyricism of Jay-Z, Nas, all those things to become the priority.
Yeah.
I think we have a long time before we get back to hip hop being that.
You know, it's funny that you say that. You know, I'll give you kind of when I got the lesson and then when the lesson became in practice for me. I remember years ago, comments from the people first. Hold on. Edie says, Migos could be my brothers. I ain't listening to that certified bullshit. I was told the Migos was supposed to be somebody I was paying attention to. And then when I did, I decided that I didn't want to pay attention to them. John Jr. says, do you guys think that some of rap music is misleading young black people? Bigger question. We're going to come back to that. So hold that thought. I remember when I was listening to Joseph Simmons, you know him as Reverend Run DMC. This had to be 10 years or so ago, where he was talking about today's hip hop, and I guess 10 years ago, whenever it was. And he said something about how when he and D and J were coming up, how a lot of the elders and a lot of the people who were detractors to hip hop had a problem with them and what they were doing and how they sounded and what they looked like and what their music sounded like and how it was noise and how it was in music and it was that great. And I remember my own parents saying the same stuff about them and others of their time. So he wasn't really breaking ground with me. I knew what he was trying to say, and he was ultimately saying that today's hip hop, we are now those parents where we see them, we hear them, and our natural inclination is maybe to throw shade at them. But at the end of the day, we have to remember where we came from, remember who we were when this craft first became something that we were immersed in, how we felt. Now, most of us didn't give a fuck, but at the end of the day, you do respect what the elders say. And the elders oftentimes, when they throwing shade at what you're doing, you do kind of look back and be like, yo, what's up? So from there, I said, you know what? If Run, who I've loved since I was 8 or 9 years old, can say, you know what? I'm going to give respect to the young cats coming up, even if I don't rock with them, and I don't have to. But part of not rocking with them the other side of that, you ain't got to throw shade at them either. You know, let them do what they doing, because you didn't always used to be an old guy. Every old guy used to be a young guy doing his thing. And you don't want to throw shade at the new young guy, because you should understand where he's coming from. And you should also understand that he needs your wisdom right now more than your scorn. And so once I heard that, I said, you know what? No matter how whack these dudes are, I ain't going to throw no shade at them. So having said that, I remember being in a cypher many times, but a few times in particular, talking about, well, shoot, let me stop. I need a comment in. Edie says that shit that happened when eras changed from was the crack epidemic. Folks had different story to tell. These folks literally ain't rapping about nothing, which is true. And that's the old fogey in us talking, even though it's the truth. Doesn't necessarily speak to what Ron was trying to say, but I agree with you, even though I'm trying to do better. So I'm having my moments, and my moments are coming with Cardi and Megan. Call me a hypocrite, because we had Cardi and Megan, we had Kim, and we had Foxy, and even before that, I guess a generation before that, you had your Millie Jacksons, and it was different. Everything is different when you get older, because now, you know, I'm old enough to be both of their daddies. Like, so now I see my own kid, you know,
That's what
I see my kid, you know, looking at Cardi and Megan and emulating them, and I had to check myself. You know, and some of y'all watching and listening, remember how I used to speak and have been there for my evolution with it. I love Megan. Cardi, I've learned to appreciate, mostly because they speak to who they are and they're authentic with who they are. And they not speaking to some 47-year-old dude. I'm their daddy and their uncle. They ain't thinking, hey, look,
Yeah,
when I
they
was
are.
25 years old, I wasn't thinking about my daddy and my uncle and my aunts and my mamas and stuff. When I was trying to do what I was trying to do, I was speaking to what my natural, authentic self says, right? And so when I look at them a little bit differently. Because at the end of the day, I remember being 18 and all the shit I was trying to get into. I would be crazy if I tried to curb somebody. I can guide them. I can give them wisdom, but I ain't trying to stop nobody from doing what they got to do. You got to live and learn on your own.
True.
And I'm not interested no more in throwing real shade. Yeah, I'm gonna throw shade if you're corny. I would throw shade. I threw shade at Kwame. He was corny. I liked him, but he was corny. You know, I threw shade at MC Ham. I liked him. He was corny. So I'm gonna throw the shade, but it ain't gonna be on some old fogey stuff. Edie said, no. Kim ran so that Nicki's, Megs, and Cardi's can walk. I can dig it, and you're speaking. I mean, we're agreeing with each other. I may not have said it as clearly and as articulately as I may have wanted to, but you are right. Kim took a lot for her content to be accepted, and you are right. Not coming away from this saying that we disagree. We just using different language. Ain't no hashtag on Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy Net Radio, 804-402-2893. We haven't given that number out a lot. John, what you got?
So I want to talk about what Edie said. These rappers are not rapping about anything. But yeah, we had rappers that didn't rap about anything, but they were still good rappers. Nice and Smooth. They ain't never talk about nothing. But we love Nice and Smooth, right? Because they were capable. They were actually doing the thing, right? They were making you want to dance and have a good time. They wasn't talking about nothing. But everybody in here, and most anybody who knows, can go word for word on all their songs talking about nothing, right? And it's a beautiful thing. So it ain't always got to be about lyricism. Lyricism is its own thing. You know, some of the dopest lyrics most people ain't never heard. You know, Black Thought that made so many records that's the most incredibly lyrical stuff you ever want to hear, and nobody never heard it because it's so nickel, right? But the point of it is, when you start getting these people talking about their hip-hop artists or their rappers, and they're not, that's the thing with me. Like, y'all not. And the market is so flooded now, the majority of people that come out, they're not doing the thing. They're doing something else. They're trying to pander likes and sell clothes. And the guys want to wear dresses and the girls want to beat up guys. And that's cool if you throw some hip hop in it. But don't do that and say it's hip hop, but you're not rapping. You just going yeah, 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 yeah. No, that's not it. Who's my guys? The Yin Yang Twins. They never talk about nothing. I couldn't even understand what they were saying most of the time. But guess what? They songs was good songs. They songs was good songs. They did the thing. Right? They did the thing. But you got these people now, and I feel that way a lot about sports too now, because it's like, that's not the game that I know. So I can't, like we was talking about Michael Jordan versus LeBron. I can't compare the two, because the game that Michael Jordan played is not the game that LeBron plays.
And I guess that's kind of how I feel about, the music industry, is that they're not, let's be real. Most of these people are no longer just rapping for the love. They're rapping for the clout and the fame. And so to expect them to, we can talk about the locks and say, well, they weren't commercial. To me, I saw a group of people that do it for the love,
Right.
that do it for the love of the game, and it never has been about big hits. It's always been about putting out good quality music, and they've done that consistently. I think now you're looking at an audience that is more about the entertainment of it all. It's not about the love of hip hop. It's not about the authenticity of hip hop. It's not even about, the origins of it. It
Right.
looks like something totally different. And to be fair, if you want to be famous, which most of these young people have, had a fish-eyed view, right? A fish lens view into fame for so long, whether Instagram, Facebook, wherever they're getting it, Twitter, that's what they're going for. So when you watch TikTok, when you watch Reels, all of those spaces, you're watching people try to get to the level of fame that they've seen the previous artists get to. So they're going to do the same thing. And it's not going to be about necessarily the music. It's more going to be about the imaging and the branding and how that's received. And when I hear, people who are in the game but haven't really popped off yet kind of talk about it, if you're rapping and you're outside the average age of these new young rappers, you're not going to want to do what they do to get famous. You're not going to pull the pranks and the stunts and the dances and the challenges. And if you do, it's going to look silly, because you're at a different, it's the aesthetic that comes with new rap doesn't fit old bodies.
I think that
It doesn't fit.
I think that with rap, with hip hop music, and that's another thing, because hip hop is way more than the music. But we'll stick with it. With hip hop music, I think what they need to do now what was done with rock and roll, right? You had Southern rock, classic rock, heavy metal, grunge.
You're breaking it
right?
down.
Right. We need to start, because
We'll
like these
label
peop-
it, but
these
not
people-
like that.
but it needs to be something, because these people are not doing the same thing. They're not the same.
But also,
like-
why do we need to legislate creativity? Even if the creativity isn't flowing toward what you want, why can't hip hop do what it's doing organically? And then on the parts that are not organic, yeah, I get it. You want to call those things out, but the transition of hip hop from the 70s into the 80s into the 90s, there was some manufacturing in the 90s
Of
that we
course.
saw going on. It's why there's a lot of people that have one hit, right? But I think to some degree, I've always been a fan of the arts. I've been involved with the arts as younger and older. And I just feel like, let things do what they organically do. And if you don't rock with it, don't listen to it.
See, my thing is, because we are still using the same mediums to award success within the genre, we need to begin to create categories, because it is unfair for two artists who do way different stuff to be in the same category.
But if you listen to the artists today, a large chunk of them, they don't care about the accolades. So who cares if you're doing it for the if you breaking it down for the sake of the Grammys and the Billboard Awards and all that stuff? They say they don't care about it. Who cares?
Yeah, that's because
why
they're
do it
making
for that?
$3 million a month on TikTok.
Streams and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Let me
right?
get a couple of comments in from social media. Let's see. Edie says, "Oh, the way they were talking about something, their music resonated. These new artists need a translator. I have no clue what is being said." I agree with her.
Not for us.
Not for us. Steph Locks had that passion. It was the love of the craft. You said it, sis.
Agree.
She also says, "I think that they need to create a genre. It ain't fair to the great lyricists to be in the same category as the TikTok creator." 100% agree, but I don't know what
That's
that's
what I'm
going.
saying.
I don't know what that's going to look
But
like.
yeah, and
I
also,
know-
you know what? I don't put those TikTok creators or momentary famous, the ones who the clout chasers. I don't put them in that category. So I think it's up to the fans to make that designation. What we now can say is, okay, Gen X and boomers clearly don't. Well, first of all, boomers didn't agree with Gen X's
No.
idea what hip hop was.
No.
And now you have Gen X disagreeing with what Gen Z and millennials see as their version of hip hop. Let it be.
I think that when we were coming up, people my age, I can speak to my friend group. When we would hear Al Green, or we would hear James Brown, or we would hear the Temptations, it would change your mood. Like, oh shit, that joint's coming on, and it was good music. Like, good music is going to always be good music.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who makes it.
Right.
It doesn't matter what the genre is. It doesn't matter when it's made. I remember being in the 80s listening to Z100 in New York.
Z100.
And it was a trip because Z100 would play everything from Michael Jackson to Kiss to Run DMC to whatever was coming on in the 80s. Madonna, Cyndi Lauper, next thing you know, Rockwell and Prince, and just
Club
all
Nouveau.
and Club Nouveau,
Club
like all of
Nouveau,
that stuff
my
would be mixed
gosh.
in, and that to me was the foundation of my musical taste. And so I don't have a lot of tolerance for nonsense when it comes to music. And I've gotten to the point now I just won't listen to it. I go through the phase in my life where I would throw the shade, and if I'm being, in a silly mood in a cipher like this, then of course I'll speak with my opinions. For the most part, I just keep it to myself, because if it ain't for me, it ain't for me. And I promise you, Cardi B is not thinking about the 47-year-old, middle-aged
That's her
47-year-old father
fan
of a
base.
college student. That
She ain't doing anything
she's not making
specifically
music
for them.
thinking for, when she made Money, which probably was one of the dopest beats I heard in the last 5 years.
She didn't make that beat.
It doesn't matter. I don't care about that. The beat. I've never been that kind of hip hop artist, a hip hop fan. I'm the kind of hip hop fan, when I hear it, do I care? I don't care who made it. Does your voice sound like it belongs on that beat? Do I like how your voice sounds on that beat? That's before I even care about what you're saying. Once I care about how the beat sounds with your voice, then I care about how it sounds. The last thing I care about was who made the beat.
produced it.
Like, I never cared about that, because it wasn't something that in the original generation of hip hop that most of us cared about.
And
We didn't care
honestly, if
about
you
that
go
till
all the
later
way back
on.
to Motown, which
We-
people will say is the greatest time ever, that was manufactured music. It
Yeah,
wasn't like
I mean, it was
it
factory,
wasn't
it was
like a
factory
bunch
stuff.
of them were
and,
there.
and
Right.
nobody
Hits
cared.
Sound USA.
Nobody
Hits
cared in 1965 that
That
Smokey
Gladys Knight
Robinson
didn't
wrote
write
all
it.
them damn songs.
Or that
But,
Gladys
but,
did it.
nobody
but
cared.
everybody knew, and everybody gave Smokey his
But nobody
his thing
cared.
at the time.
It-
They
it-
cared,
it-
but
you-
like
I
it's
don't
not
think-
fair to
they
attribute
didn't care
to say
in a
Cardi's
sense.
beat was dope. It wasn't her beat.
It didn't matter in the sense that it would do anything for or not for the song if Smokey wrote it or he didn't write it. The average fan don't care who put that beat together. They care that it's a Cardi song,
And it's
and
banging.
they care that that beat is banging. They don't care. I don't care. I don't even know what she's talking about. All I know is every couple of seconds she goes, "Money," and that annoying ass voice. Because you gotta admit, her voice is nasally annoying. But that
The
beat
hip hop nanny.
is sick. It's
Yeah.
sick. Let's get some comments in, because they matter more than we do. See, my brother Sam. Have any of you guys seen the Suge Death Row documentary? I just saw it a few days ago. It was a lot of violence against ourselves. Kind of left me with a bad feeling. That's a side of hip hop that a lot of us don't really talk about much.
Don't want to
We don't want to address the fact that you got a lot of nonsense that's glorified that lends to a lot of the problems that we have. You know, at the end of the day, you know, we know that when we watch a movie like Den of Thieves, or we watch a movie like, you know, any other pick your violent movie, that isn't a real situation for the majority of people who are enjoying it. Maybe that's the life of some. New Jack City was the life of some. It's not
Very
the
few.
it's not the life of many, of very few. And so when we see that, it's like, you know, we gotta bear the brunt of walking around in today's society and people outside of our community thinking that we all Nino Brown and that we all Tupac, you know. And at the end of the day, people who knew Tupac thought that he was out of his mind for acting the way he was acting, because most of them would say that that was not him.
Wasn't.
So many of them, again, as I've gotten older, I've been a fan of pro wrestling for 40 years, and being a fan of pro wrestling at this stage in my life has made me uniquely qualified to look at the rest of the world when I see that a lot of the real shit that goes on has been fabricated and is a part of a storyline, just like pro wrestling. Everything they do is real except for the outcome. We know at the end of this match that The Rock is going to beat Stone Cold Steve Austin. We know. But how we get there is what is the entertaining part. And life in hip hop is very much like that. We know at the end of this song, Jay-Z or whoever it is going to make this money. But it doesn't necessarily mean that NWA is rolling around the street in A64 with the guns and shooting all of the competition, all that kind of stuff. We know it's bullshit. We know it's kayfabe, to use a wrestling term. So I think if we look at it in that sense, then we have a better understanding of what we got going on. The problem is anything with reality TV, including TV shows like Basketball Wives and all of the other stuff that we watch, if you put the moniker reality on top of it, you're going to have people watching it thinking this is how you move, right? You throw chairs at your sister when you can't communicate with her, right? You killing your competition with a gun just because you upset with them, right? When we know that you live in the burbs next to a whole bunch of private school white kids. It's what it is. It's what it is.
You said something, Marcus.
Well, let me get this comment in and you jump in here. I said a whole lot there, so I'm not sure what you're about to attack me on, but I'm game for whatever it is. Edie says the problem is the essence hip hop has changed. The essence of hip hop has changed, even though the boomers and Gen X didn't get it, didn't agree. It still was the same essence. Now anybody can infiltrate the culture. Yet them country folks giving K Michelle a hard time as because she wants to do country and she's dope with it. I can dig it. Sam says, yep. I said a lot of stuff, but I'm thinking he said yep to all that. So we're going to attribute that yep Thanks, to all Sam. Of that. Yeah, Sam, my man. Edie says, I think the difference back then, they was telling the story, pouring out pain. These days, they want to be from the struggle so bad that they be faking. That you separate the real from the fake. The music ain't gonna lie. A lot of comments, a lot of great comments. John, you got the con.
So you said about pro wrestling, and to be honest with you, in my opinion, right, I was feeling funny this weekend, right? Because I share something with y'all and with everybody. I was feeling defeated this weekend. I was feeling like I had lost a fight, and it had to do with a lot of stuff that's going on in the world. And just what you said was what brought me out of that funk a little bit, because it is what it is. It's pro wrestling right now, but guess what? It ain't just hip hop, and it's everything. We are living in a pro wrestling society. Everybody's faking and fronting. The good guys and the bad guys is fronting. The only thing that is all of it's real in the middle, but because the outcome is predicted, right? It's all about the sell. How you gonna sell this? What's the spin on this? What's going on? But it's all like, and I hate to say it, but maybe Donald Trump was right. fake news. They all, everybody, and I'm not giving anybody a pass. From Fox to MSNBC and everything in between, I'm giving nobody a pass on this. Y'all all a bunch of lying, pathetic individuals. Y'all took something that had some respect and honor, journalism and reporting news, and y'all turned it into pro wrestling.
And that's how you feel about music industry.
No, everything. Put music in that too. Like, because everybody's, how many stories you going to hear about this one and that one and all these, this guy's beefing with that guy and that guy's this guy and this guy that, and this guy stole a beat and he had the beat first. And like, we're all into the intricate, like what Mark is saying. I would love not to care, right? I would love just to hear the song and go for the song. But guess what? People within the entertainment and music industry, they're selling the backstory now more than they're telling the front story, which is the song. They're gonna tell you how this one had it before that one, and he sold it, but he wasn't supposed to release it. And this is all the stories you get, because there are no more record stores.
Well, we living in the information age, Steph, and everything is about information. The more you know, the more you can use against somebody else. The more you know. Again, let me get this comment in, then I'll move on. Edie says, "Welcome to the Matrix. All this shit is an illusion, my friend John.
Yep.
It's about to snow, John. It's about to snow. I tell you, you know, I know that the mainstream doesn't pay attention to pro wrestling. I can dig it. I realized that I'm in the minority there, but once I understood it, like I spent the first 20 years of my life fighting with people. Oh, wrestling's fake, you know, dealing with those people. But then once I understood the psychology of it, how you can watch something happen right in front of you that looks real, but you know it's not. You know it's not. Or maybe it's real, but the outcome is predetermined, right? That's what pro wrestling is. You know, when somebody hits you in the head with a chair, that's just real. You're going to bleed. When somebody throws you off of the top turnbuckle onto the floor, I don't care how great you are, you can't fake falling from 20 feet in the air down to the ground. You can't fake that. But what you can fake is me being able to legitimately whoop your ass, but you winning. We live that every day. We live that in interactions with law enforcement every day. I will beat your ass, but you got a gun and a badge and authority. So I got to be more humble than I should have to be because you're the one that's wilding, not me. Once I understood that psychology, man, I'm going to tell you something, man. It got so much easier for me to have peace and love in my life because I know it's all a work. Another wrestling term for all this shit is scripted. It's a work. I get it. And so is hip hop. Just like when we can talk about this alleged meeting, it's alleged as far as I'm concerned, maybe it's real or not, but it allegedly was a meeting in the late 90s, late 80s, early 90s that said hip hop is becoming too powerful, so we need to make sure that we control it and everybody in it. And that's when you stop seeing BDP and you stop seeing Public Enemy, and you stop seeing all the groups that had positivity and all that kind of stuff, and you started seeing groups like NWA get the push. And I love NWA. I do. But I don't think anybody is going to argue about their positivity when you had groups that preceded them that was all about the positive. When I look at what's being pushed now, you have to wonder. You have to wonder, why are some groups on the top when as a fan, you know that they're not great? Anything that you hear enough is going to become part of your pattern. Anything. You can hear a song on Monday and it's whack. It's like, ugh. By the time you hear it on Tuesday, you still going, ugh. But you hear it on Wednesday, that chorus is starting to hit. You still like, ugh. But that chorus is starting to hit. By the time Friday comes, you know the first verse. It's the repetition. You beat anything enough, it's going to be a part of what you do. And that's how hip hop is. That's how life is. That's how media works. That's how the power of suggestion works. That's how being programmed is. That is what the revolution not being televised looks like. So we should be mindful of that. And I don't think a lot of us are. And hip hop plays a big, 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 big part in that, because this is the vehicle that they use to reach the youth. You get to the youth of any generation and you can control that generation. You get to the youth, because that's going to be what powers the generation. Old folks, us 40 and 50-year-olds, we don't fuck no more. We tired. We did our work. And it comes out in our behavior. I ain't trying to march no more. Dale marches in this town all the time. Hey, I'm done with that. I've marched. I've marched all over this East Coast. I marched from New York to Atlanta. And that's just me, one guy, Marcus J. Mr. 47-year-old. So it's bigger. This conversation is bigger than how we led it. I'm glad we're having it. We always need to have it. And I'm one that will always go off on a tangent. I just like to talk, usually to y'all, because y'all are listening, and I appreciate it. But the reality is, this is where we at. Like, for real. This is where we at. All right. Let me step off the soapbox because I need to pass the con. All right. Let's see. Edie says, old, speak for yourself. Damn it. Hey, look, you ain't that far behind me. Michelle says, yes. Yes. And Michelle also says, that's right, Edie. So they, hey, look, all right, I'm speaking for myself, but damn it,
Listen.
if you close to my age, I'm speaking for you too. Damn it.
So
Calling us old.
I'll say this. I too
Calling you old, Edie.
I too am not quite as young as some.
Nana,
That's how we'll say it. I'm not quite as young as some.
Grandma,
And you ain't right.
Mima.
Right. Whatever it is.
I had a point and I done lost it because of Marcus.
I'm an asshole. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all a facade. Like, I used to like I was a big fan of Rachel Maddow, right? I thought she was a quality journalist, and because she would give details in her reports. She would give details like down to the letter, and I enjoyed that. But now she has like picked up the party line, and she just talks, and she doesn't give any details. She just says what other people have already. She repeats what other people have said for her whole hour, and she gives no details in her reports. I can't watch her. Like, come on, where is it? And I understand you got a job, and if they tell you gotta, this is what we're reporting, this is what you gotta say, that's cool too. But like, at some point, we have to be able to trust information that is gonna be not paid for, right? Because we get all our information through media, and you got about 5 companies that own every single piece of media, and they control a narrative without any give. There is no quarter given. This is all that's going to get put out. There's no way nothing else gets put out. And you try to put something else out, you're going to be demonized and destroyed. And I watched them do it. I watched them do it. And listen, it don't matter what side you fall on, right? To me, it doesn't matter what side you fall on. You should be able to have equal time to express your opinion through a public forum. And the problem is, it's all private, it's all commercialized, it's all money. And look, I used to tell people all the time, I hate a racist, right? A Ku Klux Klan member, right? But I'm willing to die for that person's right to express their opinion, no matter how much I disagree with it, because that's what's right. And we that's gone. That's gone now. That's gone. If you're not, we're gonna give you two talking points, right? And they're gonna seem to be opposing, but they're really not. And if you don't go by these two talking points, you're gonna be silenced. And that's the world we live in.
Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy in that radio. I understand what you mean. I am one who supports everybody's right to be the way they want to be, but you got to be on the right side of history. And if you on the wrong side of history, I can't rock with you.
But history,
but
the
it-
right side
but-
of history determines on who got the money.
but in spirit, I understand and somewhat agree with what you're saying. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial. You want to rock with us, we'll roll with you. Edie says calling us old. I could just hear you saying
Not
let's
as
see.
young as some, Edie. Not as young as
fake,
some.
Fake news is what she's calling it. And then Sue says she can still hang with the youngins. I have no doubt that Sue can do whatever Sue says she can do.
Right.
I seen Sue do exactly what she say she gonna do for damn near 30 years. So I'm with her. Edie says those days are over, John. That's why I able to look past Trump's BS. But that man was speaking facts on many things, fake news being one. I understand where she's going with it. I don't necessarily agree with it, but that part is what it is. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial. I think I'll say what I think. I'll say what I think about Trump, whether you agree with this or not, and then we're gonna move on to something else. Donald Trump said what a lot of people was thinking. He acted the way a lot of people wanted to act had they felt comfortable acting that way. And because he saw that he was getting the pop doing it, he ended up being more and more open and boisterous about his nonsense because he knew he can get away with it. And those are the people who rock with him because they see themselves in him. So I think that's what you're saying, even though I can't speak for you. You can say, you can, you agree with me, you don't. She's saying fuck his character, he's a shithead, which is true. He was, but he was speaking his truth because you can't tell me that the dude didn't say the things he said and not mean them because he stood by him. And he has always shown to be that kind of dude. And I try to tell people even before he ran for president that this is who he is and this is what you're going to get. 804-402-2893. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live on New Dan Legacy in that radio. All right, Steph, let's change gears. I want to talk about Black Republican, potentially being the president of the United States. Now, we had Barack Hussein Obama, who's a Democrat. I love it because I love saying it because that's his name, and I know that it irks the hell out of some people, and that's part of the reason why I just say it. But the truth of the matter is, he was a Democrat, and our country is more able to absorb a Black Democrat than a Black Republican. And that's for Black people, and that's for white people and non-Black people. I think we are more able to absorb a Black Democrat because we used to, because our people are more likely to vote Democratic.
Right.
That's because how we've always done it. And so when we look at Larry Elder, who's gaining some steam, and Tim Scott, who's gaining some steam as Republicans who are potentially someone to keep our eye open for in 2024 when the next
Elder's running for
election
governor in
cycle.
California.
Governor.
In
not
California,
president.
which is usually, I mean, you're coming out of California as a governor. That's a national platform
Ronald
for the
Reagan.
next step. Exactly.
Ronald Reagan was a governor.
Yeah.
And
So
nobody gets more votes than the governor of California except for president and vice president.
that's
Yep.
more people
Yeah,
there. So
constituency. Yeah, absolutely.
so Larry Elder is seeking potentially the governorship in California, and Tim Scott potentially is seeking the presidency. Let's talk about these Black leaders in the Republican Party and how they play on a national scale. Steph, what's your thoughts?
Well, first, I think leader is subjective. I think that, I mean, first of all, people are definitely going to always view a Black Republican a certain way. I think white people, and I'm certainly, not sitting in their homes and asking their opinions, but I think there is this belief in the new America, the one in Trump's America, that one Black person we can trot out, that tokenism is now something they're glomming on to. And I think that any Black Republican that is calling themselves a Republican, while the current Republican Party is behaving the way they do and have, is immediately suspect. he's the ops at this point, because he's aligning himself with things that are diametrically opposed to how we see ourselves, who we are, and what we've been doing. And then on the other side, it's I don't know that people who overwhelmingly voted for Trump, the portion of people that overwhelmingly voted for Trump and didn't like Obama, are going to vote for Tim Scott simply because he's got an R beside his name. I think Trump could have run under a third party out of fascist Italy, and these people would have voted for him. This is no longer party alignment. However, people who identify as Republican cannot run from the fact that this is now the majority of your party. And if they had fought hard to keep Liz Cheney, who was more traditionally Republican, whether you like her politics or not, if you saw them fighting to keep her as as their minority leader, if you saw or minority speaker or any of those things, if you saw them prioritizing traditional Republicanism, it would be one thing. But they literally are lining up lock, stock, and barrel behind the teachings and words of Donald J. Trump. I like to think that J means like dream. I know it doesn't, but I just want to give him a name to spice it up a bit. But Donald Dream Trump,
Jackass,
Jackass Trump. Yeah. I think that people, I think they want to be so separate from it. But am I going to vote for a black man? His blackness goes away for me. It dissolves. It has no relevance. The R is next to his name. It's tainted by what I've seen over the last many years, but certainly over the last 4. It will be the time where black people prove to white people that we don't vote for people just on the basis of race, which is what they think only happened for Obama, although they've comfortably voted for white men for years. So I don't think we owe an explanation.
Yeah, I mean,
so I'll say that one part. Now, as far as Larry Elder, we'll get into him, because what he's even promoting, the things he said, there's no systemic racism, all these other things, is exactly why just being black is not enough.
There's so much to unpack with this whole thing. The Republican Party is no more. It's the Teabag Party, whatever, Tea Party.
Tea Party.
Yeah, Teabag, whatever. It's them, and it's just a whole thing. It's all a farce. You want to hear something funny? Donald Trump was it 2024? If Donald Trump runs as a Democrat, he'll be elected.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
Guarantee you.
I don't doubt that, because those people are following Trump.
Right. They're not following the party. They're following Trump. And guess what? How many loyal Democrats who just pulled the thing for Biden because they Democrat would love to be able to pull it for Trump? Man, as Democrat, he'd win. Easy. That's how much pro wrestling this is right now. Right? None of the politics matters at this point. None of the agenda matters. None of the stuff that the government was supposed to be about. It's a clown show. It ain't regular clown. To quote another wrestling, it's an ass clown show. Chris Jericho's the ass clown. I love that phrase. They're all a bunch of ass clowns. So that's what they are. Pencil neck geeks. From my man, the Grand Wizard. A bunch of stack of dimes, you masquerade as a neck. Now that's the professor. I mean, he had the little skinny glasses. He was a manager, and everybody was a pencil neck geek. Him and Classy for Lady Blassie gave us pencil neck geeks, and the people with the stack of dimes, they masquerade as a neck. But anyway, my point being that it's all a farce. It's all nonsense. Because guess what? Any Democrat who would stand up and hold the Republican, right now, to every word that Donald Trump ever said out of his mouth would destroy any Republican adversary they had. But they won't do it. They refuse, and they know what needs to be done. Biden won't do it. All of these people in Congress holding up his $1 trillion infrastructure, his legacy will be he got nothing done, just like Obama. in the first 2 years. The Republicans will take over the both branches of the houses for the rest of his terms, and he'd be a lame duck for the rest of his presidency because he will also toe the party line. He's not prepared to go out there and do what needs to be done. Hold Mitch McConnell to her words, right? And he won't do it, and just deal with it, right? Even down to the insurrection. They letting them walk on the insurrection.
Yeah.
They letting them walk on everything. They letting them walk on everything just to toe the party line, just so to keep everybody who's not in on it out of it, and everybody who's in on it. Because guess what? At the end of the day, they all get the same paycheck. That money's coming from the same source, and they don't want to mess with the money. And that's what it comes down to. And everybody thinking they got sides. Ain't no side. No side. Ain't no Democrat, no Republican. There's none. It's those getting money and those suffering. And that's what it is. Until somebody is willing to do like what our preacher at the top here, start on the local level. Elect your sheriff, elect your councilman, elect your mayor, and then go from there to elect your governor. You got to start at the local, because the rest of, and you got to hold people accountable. I know people don't like cancel culture, but you got to use it. If somebody open their mouth and say something, there's no more hiding. This is back in the day. This is media time. We got cell phones and cameras all over the place. When somebody says something out their mouths, hold them to it. I remember I was telling people to hell with the Cuomos because they were racist. Everybody, oh no, Cuomo's great. Yeah, but he was also sexually harassing a bunch of women. Oh, the hell with Cuomo. Yeah, but I could have told you that, because anybody who's a racist is a jerk on all levels. So yeah, he was sexually harassing people because he thought he could, because he's a white supremacist. Right? So these characteristics don't manifest themselves independently in different ways. The same guy who could say that Christopher Columbus is his hero is the same guy who could say to a woman, if you wasn't married, the stuff I do to you. It's the same guy, because he feels he can get away with it because he's got the protection of his whiteness. And how dare you question me? I'm a white man. I'll say whatever I want to say to anybody anytime I get ready. So we got to hold people accountable. And that's the only way we're going to get this.
I was with you until you made that connection.
But it's the truth.
It's not the truth.
It is the truth.
It's not.
Where's the lie? Let's go. Find the line what I said.
You got issue with Cuomo.
No, I got issue with people.
I
got issue with people who stand behind their whiteness and their supremacy and their masculinity, and because one thing is popular in the day and something isn't popular in the day, and you don't want to put them together, they're together.
I'm not,
because any man with character won't do these things.
I got you. And I got issues with the trouble that he's in now. Only reason why I even made that comment is I had having issue with him because of that Christopher Columbus comment, which you've been on, and I'll give you that. You've been consistent with regards to that. But I think connecting that to him being in trouble with the sexual harassment, the sexual assault, and the likelihood that he's going to be impeached and potentially go to jail, I think they are two separate things.
They're absolutely the same thing. I can prove it.
I don't want to
debate. Me to prove it? Because I can prove it.
We ain't got
without
time.
Beyond a shadow of a doubt.
We don't have time for
beyond
it.
A shadow of a doubt, I can prove it.
Nor the desire or time to go.
I'll prove it in my
path.
rant.
All right, prove it in your rant. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy in that radio. Yeah, please don't take forever on that rant, because make that point real quick and let's get on out of it. Let's see, my man, Coach Reggie Ship. What's up, brother? He says, all facts, brother. Thank you for saying this. I was telling someone the exact same thing 2 days ago. Not sure if he's agreeing with you or me.
I think it's me.
It's probably you. It's probably you. Edie says, fam, y'all give Trump too much credit. People would vote for him again because Biden and them ain't do shit different aside from transparency. Well,
that's kind of what I said.
Transparency is a big deal for some people. So while I don't necessarily disagree with you, transparency is a big deal. You can tell me, what you're doing, and I can absorb it better than you hiding it from me. Edie says, why you say they letting him walk? They can't prove that he incited the riot. I just think that it's such. I just think that that's such an obvious. I so obviously and vehemently disagree with you on that
Yeah,
one.
that's the
And
that's a
and I've
disingenuous
had
statement,
so
man.
many debates with right wingers and Trump supporters on this point. I just ain't got the energy to get into how he stood there in front of everybody in the whole world and said, "Let's go down there to the Capitol, and I'm gonna be right there with you." Like, I'm
and
not
we
doing,
gotta be strong.
and we
gotta
be
come
strong.
strong.
Yeah,
And if Pence don't do what we want him to do, we got to get him.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. Don't matter who you elect. If that person ain't right, it is what it is. Now that I agree with. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Den Legacy in that radio. All right, Steph, let's get back into this.
Yeah, I don't know if we really addressed the Black
we
Republican
did
thing, but
we went
yeah.
Let's
If somebody
get-
was listening for it, they didn't catch it. And so then you have Larry Elder.
Yeah.
You know, Larry's in.
I agree with everything Steph said about the Black Republican. It doesn't exist in my opinion, and you are so much more eloquent than I in explaining it. But it was a good job.
Mm-hmm.
What the
Okay,
hell
John.
just happened, man?
I don't know what because nobody he didn't address.
I had something in my head,
hold
and I
on.
meant to agree with her right after she finished her initial point.
Well, let
it
her
was so beautiful.
Well, let her finish your point. Go ahead.
So with Larry Elder, you know, he's your journo brother. He's the journalist, and anybody who has been around or been a political wonk or a geek for a long time knows that Larry is very contrarian and very it's almost anything that you that somebody who doesn't like black people wants to hear a black man say, Larry Elder will say it. Problem is that Newsom has made such a mess of things in California that they're recalling him, and Larry Elder has a good chance. And these are just a few of the things that he said. He believes that, this is exact quote, for somebody who's never run a business to tell business people, I'm going to jack up your price of labor and you're going to deal with it. To me, it's offensive, said Elder. The ideal minimum wage is $0. He said minimum wages are burdensome on businesses and cut down on jobs. Basically, he feels like if two adults, one who works for one who's the employee and one who's the employer, can't come to the table and agree on a reasonable wage, then that's the real problem. Why two people who are adults can't determine what the price of labor ought to be is beyond me. And why a third party feels it is his or her business to interfere with that is also beyond me. Clearly, Mr. Elder doesn't recognize labor law, history, and the reason that even unions exist. Because if you leave determining a fair wage up to the employers, as we can see, the $7 minimum wage held, and if they could drop it lower, they will. And some people are working for $2.13 in the restaurant industry. The other thing that he said that is interesting to me and also proves that all skin folk ain't kinfolk, the business about the police engaging in systemic racism is false. It's a lie. The police, because of this false accusation, are engaging in what's called passive policing as opposed to proactive policing. They're pulling back. Instead of discussing systemic racism and, quote, as he said, falsely accusing police of participating in it, we should be focusing on opportunities and education for Black children. He blamed the war on poverty on Lyndon B. Johnson way back when, and then said that because of the welfare state, we've incentivized women to marry the government. We've allowed men to abandon their financial and moral responsibility.
Was that sexist, Justin? That was a pretty sexist statement.
Well,
right?
you know, again, it goes back to let me say the
That
things.
was some patriarchal stuff. I'm hearing things. Thank you. I'm hearing stuff now.
But
I'm hearing stuff. Steph got me hearing stuff. I would have never thought of that as some misogyny, but it is.
But it's also a direct play. All he did was repackage Reagan's welfare queen terms when Reagan showed up in the Bronx. And, you know, and leveled those kinds of statements.
So they didn't get men to marry the government and women to abandon their financial responsibility. Because women don't have financial responsibility.
Listen to John.
Oh,
but not only that,
educated.
It is a low key. All he did was just leave out Black. because when you talk about welfare, who's utilizing it, who relies on it, the immediate lie is that it's black people. That's been what the media has pushed when they did in the 80s interviews at welfare offices. Where did they go? They didn't go to West Virginia. They went to New York City, where you go to any northern town. What are urban cities mostly populated with? Black people. So if you want to, when you're pushing crime, as the narrative, which is now another new thing coming about. We've cycled back to that because we don't have Trump. Crime is high in America, and what they're doing is focusing on the largest, blackest cities that they can, where the populations are predominantly black.
Right.
You have somebody like Larry Elder pushes these same narratives in a place like California, where it's always a freak show of contingencies of candidates, whether it's Mary Carey or Caitlyn Jenner or whoever. Larry Elder has a good shot of going from conservative black political shock jock to governor.
Yeah. You know what I think is dangerous? I think that, first of all, I think you should vote your conscience, whether you're black, white, whatever you are, vote your conscience.
Yeah.
And let the chips fall where the chips gonna fall. If a person who is not someone that black folks want happens to be elected, I'm looking at black folk like, why the hell didn't you vote? Because I know so many of us who choose not to, that I'm not looking at white folks on that, because they gonna vote, they're not gonna vote. I'm not concerned with them. I'm concerned with us, and I'm concerned with how we move, and I'm concerned with who represents us. And then the conversations that I have with black folks who's mad about who gets elected, I don't care about what nobody else do other than what we do. So if somebody gets elected that we don't want, that we don't like, and we want to complain, I'm like, shut the fuck up. You didn't vote. Period. Hard stop. Dead silence. Hard stop. I don't want to talk about it. I really don't. I want to talk about it because we know what it is when it comes to this. We can play the, well, our vote don't matter whole thing. I can dig it. If that's how you feel, then stay away. Do what you're gonna do. But shut up. Like really shut up. For real. Because you either going to be a part of the process or you not. You just not. And I get frustrated with this. And I don't know if y'all can feel this and you can see it, but I get frustrated with this because it's like, come on, man. We've been doing this. I've been a voter since 1992. I've been voting for 29 years. And it's always the same thing. It's always the same. Oh, we didn't want that guy. All right, but did you vote? But nah, I didn't get my paperwork right. Or nah, I don't vote because it ain't got nothing to do with this real. And nah, they're going to steal the votes. Like, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to somebody else who wanted to be a part of the process. And when I look at somebody like Tim Scott, for an example, I look at how white folks going to look at him, right? And I wonder, I got mixed feelings on it. I don't know how this is going to be. I don't know how it's going to turn out. You know, we talked about Larry Elder in the governorship, but let's talk about Tim Scott in the presidency. Here you got this black man from South Carolina who is a Republican senator who says that he came from cotton to Congress. And I know how white folks going to look at that. They're going to be like, that's a pure example of to pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, black man, which don't represent the average black dude. So the average black dude, what you gonna do? Here you have this man who you don't necessarily agree with, mostly because his party is a party that has shown that they are adverse to us and what's important to us. The party and their doctrines and how they move has shown that they don't rock with us. But here you got this black man that just might be the standard bearer for them, who's saying that he went from Congress, from cotton to Congress. They're going to eat that up. So what you going to do? What you going to do, black people? You're going to either vote against him or vote with him. Okay. I'm not in a position on this show at this time, in this moment, in this space to care what you're going to do one way or the other. All I'm going to say is show up. Show up and make your voice heard. Because if you're going to just complain after he wins, then I don't want to talk to you. I want to hear from you. Because at the end of the day, it's just noise. And it's more of the same. If you have this black man who is going to be the standard bearer for what your perceived political enemy is, and he's going to have people who are your perceived enemies supporting him, while you stayed at home and didn't vote. I don't want to talk to you about this. I just don't. And you know how Steph Marks J, live from New Dan Legacy and that radio, Edie says, nah, fuck them because they got my vote and they ain't do shit. I'm going to talk my shit because I pay the salary. Do something and don't waste my damn time. I mean, that all sounds good. And I could dig where the spirit of that is coming from, you know. But at the end of the day, we know that we dealing with machines, man. We dealing with the Democratic machine, which is weak as hell, and we dealing with the Republican machine. The Republican machine is aggressive, and they push through what they want. There's less of them in this country. Most of this country are Democratic by spirit, by doctrine, by practice, by issue. Most of this country is Democratic. But the problem is, there's so much apathy that they don't even show up. You know why? Because they don't think it's going to matter.
They don't think it's going
They
to
don't
matter.
think it's going to matter. They're like, yo, why even bother? Why even bother? You know why? Because the Republicans are going to stand on that mountain and they're going to sing their song loud as hell. They're going to want you to hear it. We want to do this.
Okay.
Y'all going to follow us. We going to do this. And Democrats in the back softly saying, don't listen to them. Don't listen to them. They bad. Come on, man. You going to be out on that same mountain shouting just as loud? Or you going to only be in opposition saying don't vote for them? You got to give us a reason to rock with you. I had this conversation recently with elders, and I'm an independent. I ain't got no dog in this race because I know they all ain't shit. They ain't about shit. You know, the whole lesser of two evils thing? I mean, hey, I'm always going to vote, and I suppose that makes me a lesser of two evils thing. I'm not going to vote for somebody that's outwardly against me. Somebody like Donald Trump who was outwardly against me. And speaking of Donald Trump, I want to address something that Edie said a little while ago before I step off the soapbox. No, Donald Trump didn't say run down there to the Capitol and burn it down. No, he didn't say that. But what he did say was go on down there, make your grievances known. I'm going to be down there with you. My guy, Mike Pence, he's somebody that's not for you. And the aggressive tone that he had already had laid out there, he set the message and he set the tone. And you had those people out there waving his flags in his name. And when they were interviewed, they said that they came here because he told them to be there while they were waving his flags. It's disingenuous and weak for anybody, political or non-political, to sit with a straight face and say that this man wasn't complicit in what happened on January 6th. It's so obvious and so clear to me. I got to wonder why we still having this conversation. Have we seen the same tape? Have we seen these people out there in his name? Whether he said go there and burn it down or not, he didn't have to. He didn't have to. They was there for him. We really having this conversation, America, for real? We really got people that's watching what I'm watching and don't think that this man had complicity in what happened. I know that's not what we're talking about here, but it's like for real. I haven't had an opportunity to really express the full-on emotion that I have with this, with the disingenuous and nonsensical people who literally looking at the same thing that I'm looking at and think that this man ain't had nothing to do with what happened that day. Really? Really?
Can I help you, Marcus?
You're not going to be able to if you disagree with me.
No.
This is going to be one of them times. I'm going to need you to agree with me.
Let me help you. I said I want to help you.
Help me.
Okay, I'm going to help you.
I'm on the soapbox right now. It's hard to you knock me off of it.
Careful of what Edie said. She said
it's not even about her. It's more about the bigger picture of what people are saying.
I want to get into it, right? Well, I want to get into a few things. I just want to address that quick and then I'm going to go. Edie said they couldn't prove it, right? They couldn't prove that he incited the riot. And all of the stuff looked like it looked, sounded like it sounded, and to me and you is what it heard. Just like they said they couldn't prove that this dude murdered one on my man with his knee on his neck. But that's what it looked like to me. It looked like he had an idea to kill that man and he killed him. That's murder one to me. But they couldn't prove that. That's not what they could get in the racist court. And in the racist court, they couldn't get that. Donald Trump said, go down there, kick in the door, because if Mike Pence don't take them votes and not let them go through, I need y'all to get him out of there. Because that's what he said. He used more words, but that's what he said, and that's what he meant. And that's what the people did. They went down there with nooses looking for Mike Pence. So, of course, that's what he did. And everybody know. But again, in the racist court, they're not going to be able to prove that because it's set up for people like Donald Trump to be able to do that. But let me get over back to when you're talking about what the dude said that you quoted him.
Larry Elder.
Larry Elder. I have a lot of people, friends and some clients who are business owners who kind of feel the same way, right? They really do. And I try to express to them the reason why we have a minimum wage. It's the same reason why gas is $3.02 per gallon for regular, right? They're going to set a price so that people can make money. Because if they charged you really what gas would cost at a reasonable profit, which is 3 times the cost, right? So if it costs them 50 cents a gallon, they should be charging you about $1.50 a gallon. But here's the truth. It cost them about 9 cents a gallon. So they should be charging you about 27 cents a gallon to make a reasonable profit. But they're going to be able to charge you $3.03 so that people who got money will keep having money and keep making more money. So this is why we need a minimum wage, right? Because the price is going to be set. It's economics. It's how it works in this country. And so they're saying, yeah, no minimum wage, but we still going to give you a minimum gas price. We still going to pay farmers to burn food while people starve. We still going to pay farmers to throw milk in the river and people starve, right? So that we can keep the price of a gallon of milk at a certain price so that certain people have more money, right? Now, as far as the racism part of it, I tell you all the time, everything in this country is racism. It's a racism country. It's built on racism. And the police is the main enforcer of the racism. And anybody who's anybody with any kind of education past the 10th grade who can't wrap their head around it don't need to be in any kind of form of a position where they can express their opinion to anyone, or much less run for office. I got a new opinion though on voting, right? I kind of want some voter restriction because I think most people who vote are too stupid to vote. Y'all don't know. They don't know what agenda is. They don't know what policy is. They going in the booth and pulling a popularity lever against their own best interests based on the cult of personality. If you take a test to drive a car, you need to take a test to vote. Right? People shake your head, don't agree with me. But listen, take a test to vote and put your name on the test after it's graded. Right? After it's graded. This way, I need to know if you're not smart enough to pass a basic education test, then I don't need you voting. Because all you're doing is muddying the waters, creating, and listen, but here's the problem. Everybody go back to black people. It's going to be more white people not voting. And as far as what you said,
so we live
one second,
in a systemically race.
And go back to what you said. As far as there being more Democrats, no, it's more racist. The parties is an illusion. The country is much more racist than it isn't, and it shows up when we start voting.
Jump in, Steph.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I mean,
okay.
At the end of the day, we can't start off a conversation saying, I tell you every week this is a racist country and everything is racist and it's all about race, and then say, and don't worry if they put in a test, it's not gonna impact black people because
you take the test first, right? You take the test first.
I heard what you said, and then you put your name in.
Yeah. So it can't be any bias.
I just disagree with you.
Can you read on a 9th grade level?
Because
do you know what an agenda is? Come on.
In so many different. First of all, I think something like that is why they tried to exclude Black people. There are still Black people who are undereducated traditionally, but understand enough and can be taught. So I think it is.
So let them be taught how to pass this test. I'm tired. I'm tired of dumb people.
I disagree. Listen, I don't like dumb people either. But if you think that anything in this country is going to be given and skewed or allowed to skew honestly,
Okay.
then you need to drop the statement that this country is systemically racist.
So watch
you
this.
cannot have both.
You're right. The vast majority of my statement was tongue in cheek based on the fact that I know it's impossible.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to express a broader point, right? That people are going down and doing something so freaking important as casting a vote with absolutely zero idea of what they're doing.
And then let me be clear.
That's my overall point.
That point, saying it that way, especially because when you speak so emphatically and as though it's the fact and the truth of what you believe.
But listen, it's not going to happen. I will say that. I will say you should have a test to vote. I know it's not going to happen, right?
Now,
but I'm just saying that was to express the fact that this country is full of stupid people, and it was made to be that way. They've dumbed down the whole nation, and now those same stupid people are voting in masses, and this is why Donald Trump was elected.
I do think that civics needs to be a greater focus in the high schools. I do think that civics still needs to be, a prereq in college. I think that organizations that are out there galvanizing the vote, they do a poor job of actual education as well. It is typically because at that, there are so many things that are getting in the way of people voting. That's their focus. But I do think that there needs to be more organizations that are about political education, because I don't disagree with you that there are oftentimes, particularly in the last 4 years, but it's always been this way, where people are voting against their own best interests because they don't know enough. They don't understand. They don't understand maybe why somebody voted against a bill that on its surface they announce as, okay, we'll just use as an infrastructure bill, but beneath the layers, there's a lot of fat built into it, or pork, as they say. Yeah. And so people don't understand that. However, I think that it then, because it is a fully democratic process where we want more people participating, I think that it then behooves us within the community to spend more time on the educational piece than we do on the galvanization piece. And I think, and would hold to, if you educated people more on things, the more someone knows about something, the more likely they are to participate. And then it gets rid of those statements that are things like, well, it doesn't matter anyway, because it matters. It does matter. It's just a lack of education. It's also easiest to sway people with a conspiracy when they don't have knowledge, when they don't have facts.
Oh, yeah. So let me ask you this question, because I was thinking about this, right? All of the what do they call it, voter suppression stuff that's going on, right? And it's blatant and it's outrageous. The things that they're doing are wrong and they're jacked up, right? But what they're doing is so, I can't even express what I'm trying to say. It's like the stuff that they're doing, it seems to be like you should be able to deal with it. Is it really so difficult that people can't deal with it? But is it part of the psychological warfare that people, when anything is put up that is opposing, that they don't want to fight against it or overcome it? Or because like people in rural areas can't get IDs or don't have access to polls or whatever the case. I know for a fact that more white people live in rural areas than black people. Black people mostly live in suburban areas in the country. Education, black women are the most educated people in the country right now. They can get IDs and know where they got to go. Now, closing the polls and not doing the Sunday stuff, because that's what people do or whatever. I think we should have, voting should be a week-long process. I think you should be able to vote online or with a smartphone or whatever the case. You should be able to cast a vote in many, many ways and just make it better and easier for everybody to vote. But I think some of this pandering against things and making these things, I think sometimes the left gives energy to stuff that it wouldn't have if they would just shut up and do something about it. Like all the talk gives the energy to something and makes it a big deal, a bigger deal than it is. Somebody gets an endorsement and makes some money off of it, and now it's national news. Do something about it. Like there's ways to work around this stuff and fight for these bills and get things signed and done, as opposed to running your mouth about it. So that's the thing that bothers me with the voting thing. Like all this talk with the IDs. Go get people IDs. Well, they closed. Go get buses and put them on buses and drive them to the polls.
I don't disagree. I think I don't disagree in some ways. I think that there are some ways in which we make things a more significant stumbling block than it really is.
Okay, thank you. You're so much more eloquent than I.
No.
No, I would agree with that. I do think that there are situations that arise that are more likely to affect people of color, Black people, and poor people, that obstacles are put in place to make it more difficult for them to vote. Things like shutting down what time you vote.
That's the one.
Things like not allowing voters, mailing voters. I think anytime that you make it more difficult to vote, that's a suppression that's going to affect disenfranchised people. And I think that's a problem. And I think those folks who are more likely to have a negative impact by those people voting are the ones that you see making it more difficult for more people to vote. I think that we should be making it more easy to vote as opposed to more difficult to vote. And I'm gonna always be on the side of that. And you know how Step Marks, J Live from New Den, Legacy and Radio. All right, let's get these comments in as we move towards the end of the show. Let's see. Edie says you keep voting for folks that don't have your best interest. You get what you deserve. 100% agree with that. Our brother Sam says just got back. So what would you suggest to people to believe what should be an obvious thing? It depends, and that's a vague one. Depends. There's a lot of ways we can go with that one. Let's see. Sue says, John, I know well-educated people who are dumb as hell. And
you're right about that.
Edie says they don't know because they have no interest in knowing. Man, you got your ass out here and vote. Bring your own water and food. Get on ID. Come on now. Are we weak? Are we from resilient descendants? Period, John. So she's agreeing with you. I agree with all of that.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't
but
need
I
you
think
to
it's
provide me water.
I don't need none. I don't need none of that. But I think the fact that you are making it more difficult and you making it plain that you're not going to assist that way, I think that is you making it known that you are trying to be in opposition, because something as simple as giving water to an old lady standing in line for an hour trying to vote. We've tried to make this a part of the narrative. And so, you know, a 47-year-old athletic, you know, handsome, wonderful person
named
that's
Marcus,
just great as hell in all things that he does, like me. I don't need you to bring me no water. I don't need nothing from you but for you to get the hell away from me. That's all I need from you. Just get away from me. Because every time I go to the polls, they try to give me your pay. Just get away from me.
I know what I
just
came
get away
for.
from me. That's all I really need for you to do, is just get away from me. But for those people who might walk with a cane, or might need to sit down for a second, or might need to drink water, for you to make it so that you can't take care of those people, that's showing your whole ass. You being an asshole right now. You being unnecessarily difficult for those folks who are just trying to exercise their right. Are you required to help them? Of course you're not required to help them. Are you supposed to give them no water? Of course you're not supposed to give them no water. But if you can't have compassion for an old person who's been in line for 2 hours to vote, to do something that is their right, that is supposedly the American right, I know you ain't supposed to. I get the whole pull yourself up by your own bootstrap. I get the whole thing, man. America, you try to make yourself out to be great, but you harsh as fuck sometimes. Can't give an old lady some water. Really? Y'all make me sick. And you justify the bullshit. It's like, come on. Come on, man. For real, you can't give an old lady a bottle of water?
It's ridiculous.
You gonna make it so this a crime to give an old lady a bottle of water? You don't gotta give Marcus J and Steph B and John no water. We don't need no water. We good. We good. But my pops, who's 79 years old, who walks with a cane, you can't give him no water, yo. You can't make him comfortable while he waits in line to vote. That's who we are as Americans, and we justifying it saying that we don't have to because we don't have to. Come on, America, that's who we want to be for real. You showing your whole ass, and I know exactly who you are. I've always known exactly who you are. I've always known, and that's why to be a black man in this country and to be relatively conscious is to stay in a state of rage, because y'all come up with bullshit just to make shit hard. It ain't gotta be hard. Voting ain't gotta be hard. But y'all make it hard. Why? Because you want your dude to win. You want your chick to win. It's about blood and cuz. That shit ain't cool. Because that ain't American, as they say America's supposed to be. You know, hashtag Marcus J Live from New Den Legacy and that radio. As we move towards the end of the show, Edie says, stop worrying about the wrong shit. Make sure mama got water. Essentially what I just said. Stop. That's the minority people who's old voting. It sounds bad when you single out old folks. I can dig it. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J Live from New Den Legacy and that radio. Got me out here counting bubbles and bullshit and marbles and jelly beans. I got to count them. And if I don't get the number, I don't get the vote. Really? Come on. No, or maybe they know that black voters are easily manipulated. I agree, Edie. I agree. I mean, you saying essentially what I'm saying. I'm just saying it a lot louder and a lot more aggressively. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial. You want to rock with us, we'll roll with y'all. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J Live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. At this time of the show, we're going to move towards the end. We're going to get into a couple of missing children. We are looking tonight for Anaya Pollard. Anaya Pollard is missing since July 29th from Henrico here in the Cap City. 17-year-old black female. She's 5'2", 200. She was last seen on 7/29, July 29th, wearing blue jean shorts, orange top, tennis shoes. She has wavy black hair. If you have seen Anaya Pollard, please contact the National Center for Missing and or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.org. We're also looking for Zendasia Hicks. Zendasia Hicks is missing since August 3rd. Chesterfield County, also part of the Cap City. 13-year-old black female. She's 5'8", 170. Zendasia was last seen on August 3rd and may be with a friend. She has scars on her arms and her nose is pierced. If you have seen Zendasia, please contact the National Center for Missing and or Exploited Children and website missingkids.org, or please contact them at 1-800-LOST, 1-800-843-5678 if you've seen Zendasia Hicks or if you've seen Anaya Pollard. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J Live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. All right, let's get a couple of moments in Black history in here. Let's start in 1930. Thomas Shipp and Abram Smith are lynched in Marion, Indiana. A third black youth, 16-year-old James Cameron, survives the attack and later founds America's Black Holocaust Museum in Milwaukee. Okay. 2016, Irving, Texas, in the school district is sued by 14-year-old. I remember this. Wow, I remember this. He is sued by Ahmad Muhammad, who was arrested and suspended for bringing to school a homemade clock that officials claim was a bomb.
I remember that.
Yeah, I remember that too. 1961, President Kennedy nominates James Parsons, U.S. District Court judge for Northern Illinois. Parsons become the first black federal judge in the continental United States. And the last one we'll get to tonight, white nationalist protests, 2017, by the way. White nationalists protest removal of Confederate statue in Charlottesville, Virginia. The next day, a protester drives a car and counting protesters, injuring 19 people and killing a woman.
I got one to add on.
We remember that. We remember when Donald Trump said that there was good
nice
people
on both
sides.
Because the Jews will not replace us.
Yes, the Jews will not replace us.
That's Donald Trump's slogan, and y'all voted for him.
Edie says she's praying for the children. I could dig it, John.
I got one to add on in history. Yesterday was the birthday of Matthew Henson. According to the internet, Matthew Henson is the great great uncle of Taraji P. Henson, who we all know and love from her many film roles. But that's not why we should celebrate his birthday. We should celebrate his birthday because he was an American explorer, and he is most famous for in 1909, in an expedition, he was the first person to reach the North Pole. Black man. Taraji P. Henson's great great uncle, Matthew Henson, born August 8th, 1866.
That's cool.
Ain't no how Steph Marcus J live for New Dan Legacy and Radio. John, you keep the con. Take us home with your rant and your closing, bro.
Gonna make it fast as I can. Yeah, voting is easy, but the ass clowns on both sides want to make it hard. You got registered voters. Those registered voters belong to a county and a precinct. Based on how many people you have registered to vote in that county or precinct, there should be X amount of polling places made available to them within a 1 mile radius. Full stop. Real easy. That means based on who you got as registered voters is based on how many polling places. It should be national, right? And it should be for every election, even the local ones, based on how many people are registered to vote. The polling places should be open from a set hours, right? And I would say minimum of 12, 7 to 7, 9 to 9, minimum, right? And it should not be just one day. It should be at least 2 days where people can get out to vote. Maybe switch to 12 hours where it goes from 7 to 7 and one day, and then from another day it goes from 12 to 12 to deal with people and their different schedules when they got to go to work and so on and so forth. That would be under the assumption that they want people to vote. And we got to stop blaming Republicans because Democrats know this information. I am not the smartest man in the world, right? The Democratic elected officials know this, but they will not promote this, nor will they push it, nor will they make it a part of their agenda. What they will do is they will create a song and dance and show and talk about woe ways, what are they doing to everybody? But they will tell you what the problem is, but no one will offer a solution, right? And this is why for many, many years of my life, for most of my life, up until last year, I voted Republican because what Marcus said about clarity. Rather, tell me what you're going to do to me because I could take it better as opposed to hiding your racism and nonsense under stuff that's supposed to be good for me. But I'll back up off of that. I'm going to finish my rant by explaining that what I said with regard to the Cuomos. A person's character is their character, right? Who they are is who they are. And when someone tells you who they are, you should believe them, right? Now, the Cuomo brothers are not two Italian guys with a plumbing company from Brooklyn, right? These are highly educated, extraordinarily intelligent, and accomplished people, right? They know that Christopher Columbus made Hitler look like Martin Luther King and Mother Teresa's baby. As far as the disgusting, evil things that he did as a human being and what he brought to this world, and the many people died by his hand and by his word. And these men said, he's our hero. He wasn't even Italian, he was Spanish. Right? He's our hero. So when they say he's our hero, it sounds innocent on its face. But what they're saying when they go, Christopher Columbus is a hero of mine, they're saying, I hate black people. That's what they're really saying. And for somebody to say, no, they're really not saying that. They're just Italian and no, they're not. They're not the Mario brothers. They're the Cuomo brothers. They're Andrew's kids. They know better. So it's just like the dog whistle for urban, war on drugs, and all this other kind of stuff. When those two men say Christopher Columbus is our hero, they're letting you know how they feel about black people and indigenous people and people that ain't white or white and Italian or any kind of mix up you want to get, just to be clear, so that is no misunderstanding for their white friends, right? So now when it comes into question about his character and the things that homeboy did, Mario, whichever one it is, I forget which is daddy and the son. So, all right, so they Mario's boys, right? So when it's found out that he's been an obnoxious human being to women in his office, why are you surprised? And I'm telling you, it's the exact same characteristic, it's the exact same ideology, the feeling of superiority, the white supremacy that allows him to say that Christopher Columbus is his hero when he knows what that means. There is no doubt that he knows exactly what that means. He means that a racist, rapist, pedophile, murderer of millions is someone he idolizes and who he worships as a hero. So that's the kind of person he is. So how is it surprised that he was speaking inappropriately to these women? It's the same characteristics, the very same characteristics. Full stop on that. And that's my rant.
Ain't no how Steppin with Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Edie says at the end of the day, Dem's running shit right now. Let's just sit back and see. I'll take my racism straight with no tracer. And she agrees with you, John. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Steph B, I'm so glad to have you with us. You so awesome.
I appreciate it.
And you balance John and me, because we kind of be wilding
a little bit.
And you put up with a lot.
You know I love y'all.
I know you do.
Come on.
I ain't gonna say no more. Take the con.
You already know.
I already know. He's a lot. And so is he.
John trying to play cool right now.
Hey, look,
come off his rant and chill out.
When I point, I already realized that 4 fingers are pointed
right back
me.
at you.
Yes,
exactly.
I know. We a lot. You put up with a lot. We appreciate you, sis.
You
Thank
know,
you.
extra meets a lot. I'm okay with it. So the kids are going back to school. I don't pay a lot of attention to back to school for obvious reasons. When you don't have kids in it, it's a little different. But knowing that children here are going back in a couple weeks, there have been a lot of conversations around critical race theory, which, by the way, is not taught at elementary, middle, or high school levels. So just stop it. Most college students are not being taught critical race theory, but okay. So my point is, while people are centering the conversation on critical race theory and they're centering the conversation on mask wearing, I think as a community, you need to be focused on the fact that children are going to be returning to an environment where we still have not fixed a lot of the issues that have been going on in that environment for years. So we've been out, or kids have been home for a good year and a half, I guess, a school year. And during that period of time, it allowed our memories to recede of the issues of having school resource officers in school that are engaging in certain ways with young children. The reason that's relevant now is because you got tons of kids that have been home, boxed up, so to speak. And now they're going back to school. They're going back to structure. They're going back to structure that a lot of parents couldn't enact because they were working while parenting, or hoping, in some cases, the kids were home alone if two parents had to work. And because children are returning to school from an environment that wasn't just 2 months of summer school, it was significantly longer that they've been outside of natural socialization for young children, outside of the normal standard of teaching and learning, because we get a lot of our behavior patterns and socialization and education about being good humans in school environments too. We have to remember that we're going to have to, one, be vigilant about spending time with your children's educators. If you don't have children in the school system and you can afford to volunteer for a parent that can't show up for parent-teacher night, let them sign you up, put them down, put you down on the list and show up. A lot of times throughout the pandemic, we've been arguing about very adult things, the things that adults are feeling and seeing, and children have been going through it too. And I know we can often be dismissive of them as actual human beings because we have been training ourselves to believe that they don't feel here, think they just get maneuvered around, but they're not bots. And even more importantly, Black children are going to go back into a space where, for the most part, any behavioral infraction is already seen as 3 to 5 times more punishable than the behavior of their counterparts, their white counterparts or non-Black counterparts. You're going to have to be more vigilant because now these children are going back, tons of energy. Maybe you do have that one child that's a little bit too exuberant, maybe a bit of a distraction. You need to be paying attention. Critical race theory is not going to be the issue. And we, speaking about Black folk, we really don't have time to worry about arguing the elements of critical race theory. We have to be focused on how our children are being engaged with in these environments, because they literally are going to spend more time with an educator than they do with their parents in a lot of cases, Monday through Friday. And it's important to know that they're being treated well, engaged with properly, and that they're assimilating back into this space, this educational space, in a way that is healthy and non-traumatic for them. So I really encourage the people who are parents and those who care about the parents and the children in your community to become more engaged with the process of going back to school, what's happening with behavior issues, how children are being engaged with. What if there's a school resource officer in your child's building, let him know who you are. Show up to school, shake his hand, let him know that if he ever sees or feels there's a problem with your child, he's welcome to call your cell. Give him a calling card. Let him know that. Make him aware that there is only one way to engage with your child, and that's in a positive and mature manner. Because these children are about to go back into trauma-filled spaces. They're coming out of trauma no different than adults, and they need you to be at your best and on your guard. And that's my rant.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. At this time, I'll close this out. I just want to lead this rant, and it's going to be brief. I'm just excited about children. I'm excited about Mama J. I'm excited about all the other children that are around me. I'm blessed. I realize that I am. But I will share this about raising children. And one of the things that became abundantly clear, because I had an opportunity this past weekend to hang out with my mom and to hang out with my dad, who this week celebrated 49 years of marriage together. I'm 47, so do the math. And I feel very blessed because I see them, I see the wisdom in them, I see the joy in them, I see the pride in them. And these are things that we don't often celebrate. We often will celebrate things that are not positive. These are things that we often talk about, and we always talk about the struggle and the strife and all that kind of stuff. But I want to give flowers and pay homage to the positive and positive things, like them, my parents, who have been married for a long time, who raised their families and their grandchildren. And one of the things that I will say, based upon how I was raised and how I would raise Mama J, about our goals and what we do with our children. Goals should always be many goals, not just this one. This is the one I'm focusing on. Goals should always be to teach your children from when they're very young to value the relationship over valuing being right versus being wrong. Apologize when you're wrong. Have some grace when you're right, and be sincere, because there is no reason that this should be hard. You know, I deal with people on a daily basis. We all do. And we struggle with always having to have the right, having the last word and being right. And I don't value that. You know, I think that when we spend so much time in that space, we spend time in that space oftentimes at the detriment to the relationship. You rather be right versus staying in a relationship. I'm just not that dude. I'm not somebody who has to be right. I'm somebody who will admit when I'm wrong. And that's the way I teach my children, my child and the nieces and the nephews and the children that are around me. And I think that should be something that we should value. We just value so much negativity in our life and in our world. And I just don't want to do that. I don't want to be like that. I'm going to stand on my soapbox and speak my truth so loud with my chest pointed out and my shoulders back and my head held high. But when I'm wrong, I'm going to be in the same posture when I offer you an apology. And I think that we should teach our children that level of humility. I think if we do that, we have a better opportunity and a better chance to get along with one another. We fight over nonsense with our own brothers and sisters. It's just not okay with me. You know, I see this day in history on my Facebook wall that'll pop up, and I'll see the things that I said, and I got receipts, man. I've been speaking this way for a long time, and I'm going to speak this way continuously for another long time, because I think that it's important that we celebrate positivity even when we don't want to, even when it's hard, even when we doing shit we ain't supposed to be doing. We know what it is. We all adults here. But I think at the end of the day, if we can admit when we did something wrong and we can say that we apologize with sincerity, hard stop, I think that goes a long way towards preserving relationships. Because at this point in my life, that's really all that matters, relationships. And the people that I care about and the people that care about me. That is the myrrh. Marcus's unrelated rant. It had nothing to do with what we ain't here talking about tonight. That's the end of the show, y'all. I want to remind everybody independence is the key to building your legacy. Also want to say peace to all of the stars and all of the squares and the abundance of water. The fool is thirsty. Those are the words of Bob Marley, who you hear singing in the background. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Wants to remind you that authenticity has no competition. Peace and love, y'all. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J.
Love
live
you,
from
social
New
media
Den
family.
of Legacy and Radio. We'll be back live from this space this time next week. Holla at your boy and your sister. Be back next week, y'all. Holla.
Oh yeah, I'm with this, with it. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. For the Saturday rate, ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash and humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With you flowing this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We suburban the D, Legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk. half stepping is the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunter's talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you want to talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 and 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepper with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk.